and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Brisk start this morning with temperatures into the teens, but by this afternoon, a bit more mild with highs back up near 33 degrees under sunny skies. As we head into this evening, keeping clear skies with us, chilly tonight with overnight lows dropping to near 20. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KTV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So I used the savings from switching to Progressive 30 years ago to buy tickets to the championship game. You know, between those two teams that didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm a big Alaska Palm Trees fan. Which is a team now in the future.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
The end of riding season is never a good time, but it is a great time to trade in and trade up or sell it outright. Les Hills Harley-Davidson is selling, trading, and buying bikes right now. Sell your Harley-Davidson today. Les Hills Harley-Davidson. Rise up and ride on.
The Auto Show is back in Omaha, and it's more fun than ever. The newest cars, trucks, and SUVs are all in one place to see, January 21st through the 23rd at the CHI Health Center. Get a look at the Chevy Silverado, Ram 1500, Ford Raptor, and Toyota Tundra. See the super-fast Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat. Test your skill with NASCAR remote control cars. Racers can steer and shift around a banked speedway. It's fun for the whole family. You'll see rare private collection cars worth millions and try to guess the crushed car. Learn how easy it is to go electric with OPPD and see some of the newest electric cars like the Kia Niro and the Ford Mach-E. You can find a new friend at the Subaru Pet Adoption. So get out and go to the Auto Show, January 21st to the 23rd at the CHI Health Center. Find out more at OmahaAutoShow.com.
Do you know the signs of an opioid overdose? Talk to your physician and pharmacist about naloxone, a drug used to safely reverse an opioid overdose. I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. Be Opie Ready and download a free overdose support tool, the Opie Rescue app. Search Opie Ready for more information.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When I'm picking a place to go for lunch or for dinner, I do my research. I see pictures, and then you get to a place and the food doesn't look like the pictures. A place that I've never had to worry about that is Fernando's. They're two fantastic locations serving Mexican food at 114th and Dodge and 75th and Pacific. Tamales to fried tacos to enchiladas to fajitas, and you can just hear them sizzling right now. Don't forget, in this busy time of the year, they cater. Fernando's of Omaha, 114th and Dodge, 75th and Pacific. Stop in today.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
This edition of Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone is proudly presented by Union Bank and Trust. The program starts now.
KOCN. Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. Husker Athletics, Creighton, and yes, UNO. Don't miss a moment, they'll give you your fix. They're on every day from 2 until 6. Spend your afternoons with John, Josh, and Nick. Josh, and Nick. They'll show you what sports talk really is.
We got a national championship game to preview tonight, and finally, the big surprise is out. Nebraska's got a special teams coach.
Plus, the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl, John.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. Husker Athletics, Creighton, and yes, UNO.
I want to apologize on behalf of my co-host to all the Frisco fans out there that are very easily triggered right now. A, they don't like enthusiasm, and B, they don't like overconfidence. You're treading on very dangerous waters right now. I'm just warning you.
Are you talking about your wife right now? What do you mean? Enthusiasm? They don't like enthusiasm?
They hate enthusiasm. They hate the fact that Sean McVay celebrates with his players. You know, it's all for show.
Dude, I did see.
And now you're talking. You're guaranteeing the Cowboys are going to win this weekend.
Heck yeah, I am. The first thing I thought of when Sean McVay ran into the end zone yesterday was, first of all, awesome. That's cool. I like a coach that celebrates with his players. Second of all, I would love to imagine your reaction if a coach from a different team did that against the Rams, because you would hate that coach and say, oh, what are you doing, pretty boy? Get out of the end zone. If Kyle Shanahan did the exact same thing, your reaction to that would be pretty awesome.
I don't think that you'd be celebrating. That would be that I'm just mad that they scored a touchdown. I don't care about the rest of it.
Okay.
I mean, sure, you hate it when the other team celebrates, but they have a reason to celebrate because they beat you.
Exactly.
But that's another story altogether. Welcome to a new week of the program. Yes, we have a national championship game to preview tonight between Georgia and Alabama, and a wild weekend of the NFL also. Nebraska ball. I looked up some ugly things last night. I told you I was in a very dark place last night after that game.
Oh, yeah.
And then I started going down a Nebraska ball rabbit hole, and it got a lot darker.
Oh, no.
A lot darker.
Yeah, Saturday. That game was Saturday, right? Everything's boring.
Yes, that game was Saturday.
Okay, yeah, that was after some okay performances the last few weeks where they were losing, but maybe not by as many points as they had been. I thought a lot Saturday about my opinion that I had near the end of 2021 that people should stop watching this horrible, horrible basketball team. And I think that I would like to stop watching this horrible, horrible basketball team after that stink bomb of a performance on Saturday, morning, afternoon? I don't remember anymore. Either way, that loss on Saturday was horrible, and we should not watch them anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
It was brutal to watch. I can only imagine what our guests today, especially Mr. Mitchell, will be saying at 2:45. I'm almost a little worried about Jack because he didn't really tweet much about the game.
No.
Which is very unlike him. Win, lose, draw, get blown out, get cacked in the sick. I almost said cacked in the sick.
Hey, cacked in the sick. Nobody wants that either, man. It's like that's what happened to TJ Watt yesterday.
They got cacked in the sick.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did. They got cacked in the sick. A lot of reaction to getting ready for the NFL playoffs this weekend. Yes, Nebraska's got a special teams coach. Isn't it funny? If you had to rank the hierarchy of important things to answer in the offseason, in the early offseason, as we call it, player acquisition time, coach hiring and firing time. For some people, I almost think the special teams would have been 1A and offensive coordinator would have been 1B for some people. Obviously, offensive coordinator is pretty darn important. But the fact that this all became an inevitability, it was just like, when are we getting that announcement again? Any day now. And then finally we got it today.
Yeah, there was at various points over the last couple of months, because the Wisconsin loss, or rather the Ohio State loss, that was about 2 months ago. They make all those changes. And special teams was like one of the first things that we talked about. And there were some early names. Sean Snyder's name popped up early on. The Virginia coach that I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, his name popped up. But at some point, I would say, John, near the end of November, maybe even early December, it seemed like, it's probably going to be Bill Busch if that's what they decide to do. And so sure enough, we were just kind of waiting. And, then the tweet is sent out, the email is sent out today. And I thought it was, because at first I didn't have a chance to read the email, and I'm seeing all these tweets about, hey, and they've also moved Mike Dawson down. I'm like, wait, really? That was in there? Because I didn't see a tweet about it. And so two of the maybe, poorly kept secrets of the offseason were announced today, and now there's just like that one final piece to the puzzle. And with the NFL regular season ending yesterday, it's not very hard to us to say 1 + 1 = 2 here of, could that person come out of the NFL? Could that person be on or just finishing up with an NFL coaching staff over the last few days?
Well, there's only one question left, and that is who is the running backs coach? Who's going to be that guy? And signs are pointing south towards Texas, but we'll see. We'll see where it is. Not sure if that announcement will come this week or not. Plenty of things to discuss, though, today. And Jack Mitchell and Steve Sipple will join us. That's our Rooferees starting lineup, powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. And you can be a member of the program as well. 402-951-1620. That is the hotline, the Equitable Bank inbox. John at 1620thezone.com, Josh at 1620thezone.com at Equitable. Take banking personally.
Personally.
An answer on the first ring.
And don't accept transfers.
And the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at USC 1620. KD, who is one of those triggered Niner fans, said, I'm blatantly lying about not getting upset about celebrating now. Yes, there was the one time I did, and you promptly chastised me for it.
Who, me?
Yeah.
The Yankees.
Remember that time when Brett Gardner hit the home run, and I got
and he celebrated. He was excited
to
hit a home run.
the Cubs gave up the damn home run. Yeah. Not that he was pumping his fist around the base like he just won the World Series, like a jackass. But
see, there it is.
As fans, we get upset. But Frisco fan, you're on my nerves right now, so go to hell. And you know what? I'm rooting against you this week.
You're rooting for the Cowboys?
No, but I'm rooting against Frisco this week.
Go Cowboys, John. I was actually when I was going through my closet yesterday because I need to get rid of a lot of clothes. I just have way too many things that I don't wear anymore, and I noticed that I have like 6 or 7 Dallas Cowboys hoodies. I'm going to bring you one. You can wear a Cowboys hoodie on Sunday afternoon while you watch the Nickelodeon broadcast.
It won't fit me, and B, we get our toilet paper delivered now.
Oh, come on.
After the whole, toilet paper debacle of last year. If y'all need toilet paper, we got plenty of toilet paper. And we're not even trying to hoard it. We're just like on a regular delivery list. I swear to God, we got more toilet paper we've ever had before. But we're just getting ready for the next shutdown, I guess, or something.
So you don't want a Cowboys hoodie?
I don't want a Cowboys.
This is great that you are rooting for the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday.
I said I am not rooting for Frisco.
You're rooting against the 49ers. There's only one thing that can mean. There can't be a tie in the playoffs.
That's what I'm rooting for. Don't look up. Come on, get down here. I will say, after yesterday, it did make it a lot easier for me to almost lean your way because, man, that game. Like I said, I couldn't even watch the Raiders game last night. I was so footballed out.
I think
I know how Jack Mitchell feels. You know how we ridicule him for, there might be a really good college game on in prime time, and Nebraska, did a Nebraska thing at 11 o'clock, and he's like, I can't even watch it anymore. I know how he feels.
Oh, I'm totally there. I remember the last time, 2 times ago, Dallas lost in the playoffs on a Sunday afternoon. The Steelers, aptly enough, they played the Chiefs that night, and I know I had it on, but I maybe intently watched a couple of minutes of that game when my favorite team loses in such a frustrating fashion like yours did. I was wondering if that was the case because I'm like, man, John hasn't tweeted about this game, and this is turning into a classic. I hope that he's watching it, but I was kind of worried that you were probably like, no, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and you should be. I mean, 17-0 start like that, and to give the game away like they did, especially the last drive to tie it up in regulation. I understand your pain and suffering. I guess this is now setting up for here's the other thing too. I was like, I cannot believe he hasn't said anything about the Monday night playoff game because I bet that he has to just be livid right now.
This is listen, I thought it's only appropriate. It was the icing on the turd Sunday that I had last night. This Monday playoff game is stupid. A, anything you give to ESPN is stupid, and B, putting a playoff game on Monday is stupid. And somehow it'll end up that, Green Bay will host on the first game on the Saturday window. just to make it the shortest turnaround possible. But oh well, you get what you deserve, I guess.
Yeah.
You held on to the damn lead.
Yeah.
You hadn't played that pillowy, soft zone defense on the last drive and made Jimmy Garoppolo look like an actual quarterback. God. Just ridiculous. But that's not the game was lost at the line of scrimmage. I mean, as much as I hate Frisco, I respect the hell out of them because
physical.
That's how you win games.
Yep.
That's how you win games. You dominate the lines of scrimmage, offensive line, defensive line. They dominated the second half. Not so much the first half, obviously, but the second half, it was just like, good God. And my son, who was not with me during the first game, the Monday night debacle, I said, this is exactly what happened on Monday Night Football. This is exactly what happened. Just running the same two running plays. The quick pitch and the stretch, and it was just like 7 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. It's like, come on, seriously.
Yeah, they were so freaking physical. I've talked about the playoff game on Sunday with quite a few people so far, and I'm not, like overconfident that they're going to be able to run away with this thing. I love the idea of them getting pressure on Jimmy G. I think that can definitely happen, but Dallas's run defense has been suspect at times this year. They were suspect throughout the first half against Philadelphia, against the backups on Saturday. And so that's one of those spots where I'm just like, man, this team could really just try to out physical them at the line of scrimmage. And, I'm not going to take it for granted that they couldn't do that on Sunday.
But it does set up some interesting playoff matchups this weekend for sure. Rams and Cardinals, a division game. Bills, Patriots, a division game. Of course, Dallas and San Francisco, which is a classic NFC playoff rivalry. And the game's on CBS. It's like John Madden willed this to happen.
Dude, I saw a tweet last night from one of the beat writers that I follow. He covers them from The Athletic, and he tweeted out the video open that they had for the NFC Championship game following the '93 season. So it was in Irving, Texas. And they, it opens with the old school NFL on CBS music, and I'm like, they should bring that back. Bring that music back on Sunday afternoon because it's going to feel super old school. They haven't played in the playoffs, I think, since the 94 NFC Championship.
No, they haven't.
Yeah,
they
so
haven't.
I mean, that's going to be really, really cool to see. Those helmets on the field, those uniforms. Like this is a pretty cool classic matchup.
What they should do is, how they, because with video games, like our good friend Charles Davis, they just go in and record a bunch of lines, and then based on the moment in the game, it just hits certain lines. They literally should go through every Summerall and Madden game and pull out every phrase they possibly can.
Yes.
And just use a soundboard the whole game, 49ers, gain of 3. And then Madden does some, shtick about Tom Rathman, which won't make any sense considering that Tom Rathman's not there. But Juszczyk wears the same number as Tom Rathman, so it might as well be the same guy.
There you go. By the way, our friend, he joined us last week, Kevin Kugler. He tweets on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Hi, John.
He tweets.
I have the Rams game this week. Hope it goes well for you. #Kuglered.
You know what? I don't care what he says.
Okay.
I don't care about anything anymore.
All right. Down with Kevin.
I'm out of care. But coming up, the weirdness that was last night. Did the timeout change the strategy for the Vegas Raiders? There's video evidence that says it may have actually happened. That and Jack Mitchell will join us in this hour in the video stream. Again, 402-951-1620, Equitable Bank inbox, John or Josh at 1620thezone.com or JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. We're coming back with more of Unsportsmanlike Conduct right after this on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone is easy to hear anywhere, on air, online, and on social media. Wherever you are, we are. 1620 The Zone.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. The WAVE technology at Brookside Medical was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces immediate results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 402-671-7777.
Are you considering a career in broadcasting? With the help of 1620 The Zone and 1180 The Zone and the Nebraska Broadcasters Association Foundation, you can be part of this exciting field. We're offering two $2,000 scholarships to four-year college and university students who will have completed 30 credits as of May 31st, 2022. Let us help you reach your career goals. For more information, contact 1620 The Zone and 1180 The Zone. Applicants must be received by the NBA by March 1st, 2022.
Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs. We've never seen anything like it. Right now, more people than ever are making their New Year's resolution to focus on one of the most important things in their life, their health and fitness. Join Genesis today with no enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership and become part of the fitness movement with a few simple clicks at genesishealthclubs.com. Ask yourself, how would it feel to see those fitness results you've been dreaming of? You can do it at Genesis Health Clubs, I promise you that. We will work with you every step of the way. And right now, you can do it with no enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership. It only takes a few minutes to join, but it could change your life forever. No enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership won't last long. Hurry, just 5 days left. Make it your New Year's resolution. Be part of something big. Say yes to endorphins, yes to being an active person, and yes to being the healthiest you've ever been. What's more important than your health? No enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership. 5 days left. Let's make this year your best. Join Genesis today at genesishealthclubs.com.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Now, Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. The 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back. John and Josh with you on this Monday on Sportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. So it was the timeout heard round the world.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
What?
Yeah,
I think the Raiders were playing to get it down to either a field goal or just let the clock run out, and the Chargers took the timeout.
I'm trying to process this myself.
Wow.
I know.
That was last night's broadcast courtesy of NBC. I just love the in the middle of that because Al Michael's like, what is going on here? No one. It was such an unusual scenario. I mean, there's been a lot of weird things that have happened on the last day of a regular season, but nothing rose to this level where literally you had a couple of major factors take place early in the day. You know, an incredible upset with arguably the worst team in the NFL beating the Colts to open the door for the Steelers, who then win on the road in overtime. And all they need to do is avoid the tie. And if the tie doesn't happen on Sunday Night Football, we're in. And we were 30 seconds away from a tie last night.
Yeah, you know, and as we talked about in the crossover and in the first segment, you didn't really watch a whole lot of this game, you know, via the frustration of the Rams game that happened earlier in the day. But they were very uncomfortable with the possibility of it. Al and Chris were, because I remember last week when that tweet first popped up. Hey, the game on Sunday could result in both teams getting in if there's a tie, and it would just take this in this scenario. And it was like two things that they needed, but one of them was, the biggest shocker of the year, and that's the Colts losing to Jacksonville. And that ended up happening. The Steelers take care of business against Baltimore. And so sure enough, this game sets up for, if both teams decide to kneel for 60 minutes, both of them make the playoffs. And then, the Raiders get off to such a quick start, and it takes just a monumental fourth quarter comeback. But Al and Chris were like that the whole time. Super uncomfortable. Chris was mentioning something like, look, if they get into overtime, you have to start thinking about strategy. And Al's like, are you saying conspiracy theory? It's like, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just gamesmanship. It's game theory is what it is of what do we need to do to make the playoffs? That should be the thing that we tried to do to make the playoffs. And so, look, I have no idea what was going to happen at the end there. I do think that timeout was very curious. As we talked about a little bit earlier, like a lot of time had gone off the play clock, and then it was finally called. Like, it did seem like both teams were content with the game ending in a tie. And look, I thought that it played out very, very well for the NFL, because if that game would have ended in a tie, the type of howls and conspiracies that people would have had today. Heck, there was the non-penalty call late in that game in overtime, the face mask that wasn't called. Yep. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, if this ends up being the biggest difference between the Raiders not winning and winning the game, I cannot imagine what it's going to be like. And so that timeout happens. I do think that both teams were okay with just letting the game end, but it is weird that like that maybe was the final thing that caused their players and their coaching staff to say, all right, let's try hard. I guess I just don't know, John. What were they going to do differently? Because I still think they were going to run the ball. So I think really the ultimate thing is they just out executed the Chargers on that one play, and it resulted in them having an easier field goal. It was still almost 50 yards. It would have been closer to 60 had they gotten stuffed, but it was a 50-yard field goal almost, and they end up making it no tie for us.
Well, Rich Bisaccia, the Raiders coach, basically acknowledged that the conversation about the tie was happening during the overtime and including the final drive.
Yeah, it was conversation. We were talking about, I don't know if we ran the ball there and they didn't call a timeout. So I think they were probably thinking the same thing, and then we had the big run to there. And when we got the big run, it got us, we thought was advantageous field goal position for us. We were going to take the field goal and try to win it. But we were certainly talking about it on the sideline. We wanted to see if they were going to call a timeout or not on that run. They didn't, so we thought they were thinking the same thing. And then we popped the run in there and gave us a chance to kick the field goal to win it. So we're certainly talking about it.
Now, Brandon Staley, after the game, said the reason they called the timeout was to get into a proper defensive set. He wanted their better defensive run unit on the field. But as Dan Wetzel points out in his column this morning on Yahoo, in that interim period, the time between the calling of the timeout and the start of the next play, they took out their middle linebacker, Kenneth Murray, and put in a safety. So they had an extra safety basically down in the linebacker spot. Meanwhile, the Raiders were in 11 personnel. So the idea of, if you're going to be in a more run-heavy set, how come you took out a linebacker in that spot?
Mm-hmm.
And there was only, they normally run with two middle linebackers. They only had one middle linebacker. And so Nasir Adderley was essentially asked to come down from safety and fit that spot. So it doesn't seem to quite jibe unless, there's just something about that particular personnel that they're more comfortable with. But I saw that this morning. I thought, interesting.
Yeah, and you wonder
that's where they went.
And you wonder, too, because we got this tweet on the JTech Constructions on Twitter feed from Jim. He says, I'm not for certain, but would the Raiders have played the Chiefs in the first round if the game ended in a tie? If so, avoiding the Chiefs was not a horrible decision. Yes. If that game would have ended in a tie, then they would have ended up playing the Chiefs. So both teams would have gotten in, but they would have had the worst, in my opinion, the worst matchup. I think that they're going to match up better with Cincinnati than they would Kansas City. So I understand.
Not well with Cincinnati either, based on the way the Bengals are playing, but they've already been boat raced by the Chiefs twice.
Exactly. Like, I love how Cincinnati is playing, and I think that I like Cincinnati to win on Saturday afternoon. But I would, if I'm a team in the playoffs, I would rather play them. I'd rather play a quarterback that hasn't played in a playoff game yet in the NFL and Joe Burrow than I would, face Patrick Mahomes, the guy who's made the AFC Championship game, every year that he has been a starting quarterback. So that's why the decision, because we got a tweet during the crossover from Amazing Daniel, and it was like, like, did they make the right decision in kicking the field goal, understanding that they had a guaranteed spot if they tie versus a non-guaranteed spot if it gets blocked? And look, I don't think that was going to happen, but I was with him. I'm thinking like, man, there is one thing that could happen with this field goal that is great for them, I guess, in theory. There's one thing that could happen with this field goal that is good for them. And there's one thing that could happen with this field goal that would be an outright disaster. You know, a good result would have been a missed field goal. That would have been fine. A made field goal, of course, is what happened. But a block and return, which not the most likely thing to happen, you know, it would have resulted in them missing the playoffs. I think that ultimately
it would have been the most amazingly second-guessed decision of all time. You think the questioning of this timeout is one thing. If that field goal gets blocked and returned for a Charger touchdown and the Raiders are done, that becomes the most second-guessed thing in recent NFL history, maybe of all time.
Yeah, I think since they
had the playoffs in your hand if you take a knee.
Yeah, I think since they gained the 10 yards, he was like, hey, let's try it because, we're not going to get it blocked. And if we miss it, we're good. If we make it, we're in a better position. I do wonder if they get stuffed on that play, do they let the game end, or do they decide to like, hey, let's throw a Hail Mary. Let's try one more time to get the victory. And
I don't think they kick. If that third down play gets stuffed, I don't think they kick. I think they sit on it, but they got 10 yards on the carry, 47-yard field goal, Carlson's never missed in that stadium. He's a really good kicker. They were going to go with it then. But if that play does not gain 10 yards, and especially if it gets stuffed without a first down, I think they completely just go into a shell and say, to heck with it. We'll settle with the Chiefs. Here's your tie.
Yep.
And that's the end of it. Now, here's the video that everyone has been talking about. So this is and there might be a little audio because it was taken off of a cell phone camera, but this is Trent Sieg, who is the long snapper for the Raiders, talking to the Chargers, Austin Eckler. Now, you can't hear, but it's during the final, the teams are shaking hands. Al Michaels is kind of talking the game off the field. They're getting set up for the post-game interview, and they're just showing different reaction shots. And it looks like, and here's the video. Miss the front end of the conversation, but the theory is that Sieg was asked, were you guys going to kneel?
Yeah.
Now Sieg is kind of covering his mouth. Not that he knows he's on camera, but it's just kind of the way he's got his hand over his face. And it appears whatever it is, he tells Austin Eckler, and that was it. And the theory is that he was telling him in that moment, hey, if you guys hadn't taken that time out, we'd have gone to a knee.
It's hard to argue that it wasn't that, just because his reaction is legitimately like, wait, seriously, from Eckler? Right. I think that's what he said. I mean, and look, the video you played a couple of minutes ago, they were talking about, everybody knew this is important. This is strategy. You're in the playoffs if it ends in a tie. Like that your ultimate goal is winning the Super Bowl. And yeah, you want to have a better path along the way, certainly. But the ultimate goal is getting into the postseason. You
got to get there first.
You got to get there first. And so that they were having those conversations on the sideline, I'm at least happy that they acknowledged it, because once again, going back to how we kind of began this conversation, Al and Chris were really awkward about it. But it's like, look, this matters because this is the way you get in the Super Bowl. We always go through these scenarios, John, at the end of the regular season. Hey, the Eagles can be the 5 seed if they tie, but they'll be the 6 seed if they lose. And we're like, ha, a tie. That's not going to happen. It almost happened in the last game of the season. So I'm happy that at least other people, involved in this game acknowledged what was actually the case.
By the way, there was somebody else or somebody's else who were really happy that this tie didn't happen, and that is there were a few bookmakers.
Oh yeah,
who were on the hook.
Oh yeah,
for some big losses, because what ended up happening was there were people that were actually parlaying the craziness that almost happened. They were parlaying a Jacksonville win, a Steelers win, and a tie in this game. And according to a story from David Purdom, who writes about gambling for ESPN, there were several books who had 60-1 odds or higher on a tie. And it was so much that the Borgata Sportsbook in Atlantic City, the bet went from 50-1 for a tie down to 11-1. It got bet down that much. Incredible. Because so many people were just saying, yeah, I'll throw $100 on that. Yeah, what the heck? It'll make it fun. And there was one bettor in New Jersey, according to this story, who had a 4-teamer that had 100-1 odds. It featured the rate. He had on his 4-teamer, Raiders plus 4.5, Chargers plus 4.5, yes on overtime, and even total points scored.
Wow.
And that $1,000 bet would have paid 100 to 1, which is $100,000, right? That's $100,000.
Yeah, 100 times 1,000. Yeah, man, that'd have been a nice little payday for a lot of people.
Oh,
sorry,
wow.
It didn't happen, folks.
Well, it didn't. It didn't. Yeah. And the first time ever, people actually were rooting for a tie and didn't get it. All right, coming up, Jack Mitchell's going to join us. He's waiting in the green room, so stay right there. We're watching the pregame show right now for all the college football excitement that is coming up tonight. Yes, friends, it is the College Football National Championship. It's here. It's tonight. And celebrating, FanDuel Sportsbook is going to hook up customers with 30 to 1 enhanced odds on either team to win. That means a $5 bet can turn into $150. And if you're not betting Alabama, I don't know what you're thinking. That's my pick. Don't go against inevitable. That's Nick Saban. Just sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook. Use our promo code, John and Josh's promo code, 1620, and make your deposit to claim 30 to 1 enhanced odds.
Yeah, John, I am looking at it right now. I disagree with you because I'm the smart person amongst us two. I'm going to go with Georgia minus 2.5 right now on FanDuel, and they have the same game parlay. They have a bevy of props available for you as well. Head to the FanDuel Sportsbook app right now or visit their website, sportsbook.fanduel.com, and put in our promo code 1620, and you can get those exclusive 30 to 1 odds on either team to win this game and go against John and go with the Georgia Bulldogs. First natty since 1980. 21 plus and present in Iowa. New users only. $10 first deposit is required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus is $150. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. The WAVE technology at Brookside Medical was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces immediate results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 402-671-7777.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired their personal trainer as a caterer.
All right, folks, let's keep this line moving. You there with the tongs. Picking up one Duchess potato at a time will not cut it at my catering table. Drop and give me 50.
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Okay, this is what we call the wild mushroom and asparagus dip, and press. Come on, let's get those plates above your heads.
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, use my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed-rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR, but with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 4.98% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 4.98% APR to 19.99% APR and include a 0.5% auto pay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
For Creighton Sports News, tune into Blue Jay Banter every Monday night at 6. And if 1 hour isn't enough for your Blue Jay fix, check out BlueJayBanter.com. Get up-to-the-minute recruiting news, commentary, and chat with other Blue Jay fans. That's Blue Jay Banter, Monday night at 6 on 1620 The Zone.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
The game is on. Offense is stalled. He's on Twitter. A foul is called. Jack Mitchell is triggered on Twitter.com. Jack Mitchell is triggered on Twitter.com. There's JPJ. He just got creamed. Does the ref not know? Bad calls affect both teams. Jack Mitchell is triggered on Twitter.com. Jack Mitchell is triggered on Twitter.com.
Except on Saturday. He wasn't triggered on Saturday. He refused to tweet about the Rutgers game. I don't know if I should celebrate his restraint or be concerned about his overall well-being. As we introduce you to the segment, it's apparently the program for shut-ins. As Josh mentioned, he's in COVID protocol, and Jack is in COVID protocol. It's like Chance and I are the only people in studio today.
The nice thing is you can see on the video stream is I can lean back on my chair. I got this new mic stand. All I've been doing, I've been basically working from home. This will be my second week. And all I've been doing is just like buying stuff on Amazon to make this little setup down here better. It's very fun.
Well, you got that glaring neon thing behind
like
you. Yeah, that's I don't even know what that is.
I like that, Jack.
That is that is from the show I did after you left, John.
That's right. You got all the cool stuff after I left.
Had a neon. I thought it was so much better than my previous co-host. I had a neon sign made. So
fine. If we're all going to show off our signs, there you go.
I was going to say
ours. It's not neon, but it's burned into wood. It's burned into wood, people. Look
I got one here at my domicile. I got the friend of the program burned wood sign. Pretty cool.
There you go. Now we're all showing off our
cool.
Chance is showing off his mug.
Nice mug, Chance.
Thank you.
So what being restricted? Oh, Fred Hoiberg glass. Careful drinking out of that one. It might spill.
I mean, I successfully complete 2 out of 27 drinks.
What was? I mean, being stuck in your basement. How come you weren't tweeting about the game? Are you showing restraint? Or have you just given up?
I don't have anything to say. I don't. What am I? I have nothing to say. I have no content anymore for this team, which is amazing because Nebraska basketball has been a fount of content for me, but it's gotten not only bad but uninteresting, which is uninteresting and hard to really get even emotionally involved. Harder at least, and I don't know. The weird thing, I talked to Dirk about this on my show today. Like fan bases, especially Nebraska fan bases, they love them some hot seat talk and what should you do with the head coach. Is it weird to you guys that that's like not really a topic? I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion to people or it's too early.
Well, it's not on for another hour, Jack.
People love talking about potential coaching changes, and like it's oddly quiet given the situation right now.
Jack, I've thought about that because I think, speaking of Dirk, he was on Nick Baugh's podcast at some point within the last month and a half, and I remember him saying,
anything from him?
It was so he was on the week of the like the USA Today bombshell that never came. And so he said Dirk said something about like, And I'm paraphrasing, so I don't want to put words in his mouth, but essentially I think the gist was he wouldn't be surprised if Hoiberg ended up not making it through the entire season. And I was like, wow, that's interesting, because I haven't heard anybody mention something like that at all, let alone people asking if he was on the hot seat to begin with. I think, to answer your question of maybe why it's so quiet, I think that does show the chasm between football fandom or importance around here and Nebraska basketball fandom / importance around here. Maybe I'm missing something, or maybe it's only because it's year 3. Like, I don't know, but I have noticed it lately as well.
I don't know. I got a Fire Miles tweet for 3 years after almost every loss. Somebody's sending me. So
I wonder how much of that is personality based, because Miles threw off a either you love him or you hate him type vibe because of his energy level and his quirkiness, whereas Fred Hoiberg is kind of Mr. Straight-laced and, not a, he certainly doesn't put himself out there as Tim Miles does. I wonder how much of it is that.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the reason that just everything around it feels, in addition to, of course, the losing, but just uninteresting, like sort of antiseptic right now with the entirety of what's going on. It's hard to find intrigue, and it's hard for people to even find intrigue in what the future is, I think. And it's a combination of everything, but I think everything you guys mentioned is a part of it. Do
you think he's going to get fired at the end of this year?
That's a weird thing. Like, I have no sense. I have no idea. Like, what would even be, is there any result that's even like imaginable that where it would make it a no-brainer that he's not? I don't think there is. I mean, like,
like if they win 5 or 6 conference games,
5 or 6 conference games is probably what you're thinking is, and have a little streak.
Which, think about that, 5 or 6 conference games. So you're talking, if they get all their conference games in, 6-14.
I mean, that's probably, I think we all agree that's probably around the ceiling. They could get better when Trey gets back and work some things out. I don't know. Have some games where they hit some shots and maybe beat some of the weaker teams, but that's probably the ceiling. And is that a slam dunk in any direction? I mean, I don't know.
I have his numbers up right now, Jack. He is at Nebraska. He's 20-55, which is a 26.7% winning percentage. And this is the one that I just can't fathom. He's 5-39 in conference play, 11.4%.
Yeah, and maybe there's part of it. There's just restarting fatigue there. And this is, again, not to pat myself on the back, but I said with this basketball program, especially if you start getting into bringing in new coaches repeatedly, I think you're going to get into a kind of a downward spiral. And maybe there are people concerned that's what happens if you're rebuilding again with somebody who's not going to bring talent in quickly with this thing. Maybe there's people who don't want to. Like, I don't even know what the fan consensus is. We felt like we always knew exactly with Frost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I want. I don't know what people want. It is just, it's bizarre. Normally, this is the most clear-cut, everybody knows where everyone stands on it type thing, as you guys know from football season.
Yeah.
Well, I think that also speaks to just the difference between the hyper focus on football and, a far less greater degree of focus on basketball, even after football season is theoretically done. And, this is the one thing you have to focus on. I do wonder, and you were at the last home game, right? Or was it just the Ohio State?
I was at the Ohio State game. That was last
Ohio State game. I wonder about what the visual of fan attendance will say in this whole conversation. While that hasn't necessarily been a thing in the past, this is also the first time, since moving to the new arena, where even in lean times, because of the newness of the arena partially, but also just the district that it's in, the crowds have still been good, but it seems like they're starting to thin out a little bit. Is that something that could be a factor in whatever decision ends up getting made?
Yeah, because that hasn't really been a thing through all of the hard times for the most part since the arena's opened. And yeah, I've got to imagine when it starts impacting the bottom line and you start having the visuals. And the thing is, guys, I don't know how that really improves significantly this year. Like, I honestly don't know. I think people are so thirsty for a winner here. They're going to say, forget it. If I'm going to PBA, I'm going to go watch the women's team play at this point. That's kind of how I feel right now. I'd rather. I'm surprised I would ever say that, but that's where I totally am right now with this thing. And it still goes to the fact that not only are they not winning, but there aren't guys that have been here for 3 or 4 years that my son loved Siobhan Shields, right? He was here forever. And even when they weren't winning, he wanted to go see Siobhan Shields and that sort of thing. There hasn't really been, because of the way this roster is constructed, there isn't kind of a fan player relationship maybe that you normally have. Like, even think of Adrian Martinez.
I was going to say, I was thinking of Adrian.
Yeah. Like, there's just no, and then the same thing goes with kind of Hoiberg and his personality versus Miles and his personality. And they're not like the lovable underdog, really. It's hard. I don't know. I pull for him, but I still very much pull for him. Still want him to win. But I think the affection that comes from the fan base is really muted with those teams that as compared to the other teams that weren't winning, probably for some of those reasons. Then throw in the fact that you expected them to be good and they haven't been.
I think this tweet, Jack, from the amazing Daniel, I think is pretty good for this conversation. He says, I think some of us are so shell-shocked by it. We finally sprung for an actual Power 5 basketball coach with tourney wins, and it got much, much worse than it's ever been. It's kind of hard, or it's hard to imagine upgrading on paper. So it's kind of like one big shrug. And I think I think that's a good way to describe it, right? Like, this was on paper, this was the best hire that Bill Moose made. Better than Will Bolt, better than Scott Frost, better than Amy Williams. This is the best hire that he made. And I would make the argument by far that this has been easily the worst of the hires that he made. And it's just kind of hard to fathom, okay, if you get rid of him, I guess what's next?
Yeah. I don't even like thinking about either scenario, really. Like, there's none of those two scenarios are fun to think about, really. Trying to replace Hoiberg at a place like Nebraska. Who do you get? How long does that rebuild take? Blah, 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 all of those sorts of things. On the other hand, if he comes back, I assume you're without Bryce McGowan's next year and probably you're sort of going to have to do a bit of a roster, and not quite as much as you've had in other years, but a bit of a roster rebuild, and who knows with transfers again after this year. So, like, that's normally when you have this conversation, like, when people were wanting Frost gone, they had people in mind that were exciting to them, right? And that were, in their minds, at least viable that might get hired. It's even hard to go down that road to some degree with Nebraska basketball right now.
Had you guys forgotten, and I did, that Bill Moose, being the generous soul he was, did give Fred Hoiberg a contract extension?
I forgot it until I got the tweet just now from that listener.
And I have the contract in front of me. The original contract was supposed to run through March 2026. And I don't remember what day this took place. I don't know if they have the signature. I don't remember when this happened, if it happened after the end of last season, perhaps. But they did extend the deal by 1 year to March 2027. So going by the $3.5 million that he is owed per year, that's $17.5 million if they let him go after this season, because you got 23, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 5 more years left on the deal. And so we saw Alberts, and I mean, in part, not totally, but certainly in part, I think based his Frost decision on finances. And that's why they were able to get a modification of that deal. Yep. You wonder if finances will play a role here, because if you're on the hook for $17.5 million and you were on the hook for, what was it for Frost? 20
million, right?
20 million.
Yeah.
I mean, what's a couple more $1 million, a couple less $1 million in this point?
Yeah. That may very well be the lack of sort of pressure at this point. Along with that, maybe the reason they decide to go forward with him, and I have no idea. It's weird. I have zero read on this whatsoever. All I know is it's not fun. It stinks, especially in January and February. It's so nice to at least have the specter of some sort of success out there that might happen, even though it's unlikely. You don't even have that this year, so it's just it really stinks.
Would
Jack,
you? Go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
I do you have a basketball question? Because I was going to move on from hoops. Unless
No,
you
please, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to ask Jack that every year this day there is a tweet that we usually get from you, and if I missed it, I'm apologizing. But do you remember that the national championship game is tonight? Did you remember that?
I'm having trouble remembering it. It'll keep. I'll keep every about 45 minutes. I'll be like, oh yeah, I got to remember to watch that tonight. I did tweet it earlier, by the way.
Oh, you did? Okay, I just missed it. My bad. I apologize.
Oh well,
yeah,
remember,
and it's
folks,
like this is even more than ever. This is putting my normal thought about that on steroids because it's always a Monday night, which is the dumbest thing in the world for fans. I can't stand it. I hate it. Why we put all the biggest college games on Monday nights, I'll never understand. Number one. Number two, it's Georgia. Like, I don't even have a root. I can't even I guess I'm cheering for Georgia, I guess. But like that doesn't feel that exciting. It's not like there's an underdog in it that can come. It is so uninteresting to me. It's unbelievable.
Wow. Man.
Dang, harsh.
This sport that you love and you just don't care about the championship.
I can't work up the I mean, I'll watch it, I'll put it on, but man, you give me, if I had to weigh my interest in game things I don't have a huge rooting interest for between tonight's game and the wild card games that are coming up this next weekend, I am 1,000,000% more interested in the NFL just because it's so fun and it's such a good product right now that as a fan where I really don't I have some preferences. I'd like to see the Bengals do well. I've kind of adopted them and I have some teams I like and don't like, but like I'm not living or dying with any of them. I will try not to miss a minute of any of those games, which if somebody called me tonight and say, hey, you want to go do something and it sounded fun, I would definitely not avoid doing it because of this game.
Well, we're gonna end this on a positive for you.
Positive, boys.
I'm gonna also give you a choice because we have one of each.
The positive boys.
What would you like first? The Sports Flash or the Frost Flash?
Oh.
I guess sports first, then Frost.
Hit me.
Sports Flash.
Time for an Unsportsmanlike Conduct Sports Flash update.
Sports Flash.
From the Sports Flash Sports Desk. We just recently inducted Eric Crouch into the College Football Hall of Fame. Next year, we're going to be inducting Zach Wiegert into the College Football Hall of Fame. Fremont, ladies and gentlemen, representing. Yes! He's one of 21 individuals who will make up next year's College Hall of Fame class. The Fremont native who won 9 major college awards, becomes the 20th Nebraska player to earn induction into the College Football Hall of Fame. According to Keith Mann, Nebraska is one of only 12 programs to have 20 or more players in the College Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Fremont's own Zach Wiegert.
Congrats to Fremont.
And then he became one of the first ever players for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Rams first, I think, and then got
traded. Or he went in the expansion draft, I think.
Yeah, you might be right on that. But congratulations, that's cool. And now we get a
Frost Flash.
This is an Unsportsmanlike Conduct update.
Frost Flash.
From the Frost Flash Sports Desk.
Guess who's coming back, folks?
Oh.
Caleb Tanner has announced he is going to execute his super senior season. Yes, Caleb Tanner, who last year had 5.5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks for Nebraska, and also forced a fumble. People forget that.
People forget.
There you go.
I saw that before the interview, so.
Well, I just thought, and I
you
wanted to give you the choice. I wanted to end this on a high note, a positive. Nebraska, who last year utilized all those super seniors on defense. It catapulted them to a 3-9 record.
No, I'm glad. I assumed he was coming back. That's kind of what I had heard was happening. But no, this is like the second week in a row. I thought I was getting some good, like super exciting news I didn't know. And I thought it was Nebraska got a transfer quarterback last week when he didn't. It was just that Caleb Williams was transferring. And then I thought that we weren't getting Thompson, and then Nebraska did get Thompson. Hey, do you and I need to go apologize to his dad if he comes to a game this year?
Probably.
We probably should send him the video of the YouTube conversation from September.
Probably not.
I cannot believe that the monster in me came out when that man broke his leg, and now he's the parent of a Husker football player.
The parent of a very important Husker this year. The only thing that can make this even worse is if Russ Rose decides to come back to Nebraska and be an assistant under John Cook. That's an inside joke from our days gone by at the morning show.
Hilarious.
It is really.
We actually did a segment one day. We called "Who is Nebraska's Public Enemy Number One?"
We did it because LeBron James got booed at some
Cavs
game.
Yeah,
at a baseball
That's
game.
a good bit idea. Great
He had
bit.
won that, and we said who would get the most booing at Memorial Stadium if
Right.
they came out and they were recognized.
And we had a caller call in and say, "Yeah, the Russ Rose," and I had to think about it for a minute because the
I had no
volleyball
idea.
coach at Penn State, he's a real jerk.
What time did the girls play? Can we bring that back? That's a good idea for next summer.
Yeah, who would get the loudest decibels of boos if they were recognized during one of those timeouts at a Nebraska game?
I love that idea. That's a good big. Well done, guys.
Yeah,
10
we're not
years
going
ago.
to have a 50th anniversary, celebration this year where we, golf cart a couple of 50-year-old players out and, celebrate the national championship. We're not going to have that. I don't think they're going to bring out, anyone from the 72 team.
Remember 72?
No, here's what maybe they do. They have all those theme days. They have like Veterans Appreciation Day. Maybe they have just a People We Hate Day. And and now
Charles
coming out,
Thompson is already going to be there.
Charles Thompson will be there. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, Bill McCartney.
I do think that Charles Thompson needs to Nebroise an outfit to go
Hell
a third
yes.
burnt orange, a third scarlet, and a third crimson for all three teams that he is supporting.
He won't have Texas. I my prediction is that he is going to have a jersey that is half Nebraska, half Oklahoma for that game. He's going to. That's my prediction. Put it on the list, John. Put it on the list.
He is going to have so many interview requests. Holy cow.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be insane.
Let's get him on the show publicly. Let's get him on your show during my slot, and we'll publicly apologize to him for cheering for his serious injury.
Because there's nobody else that's going to interview him the week of that game who once openly rooted for him to get hurt, when he was playing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Just make me feel better.
Yeah, I do need to make good for that. So, all right. Well, thanks for totally throwing a bucket of cold water on my frost flash.
No, it's good. I'm glad Caleb Tanner's back. He's an underrated player. I'm glad to see him back. Getting kind of excited about next football season.
Cool.
It's what I do. I give up on a season and start looking forward to the next one.
Wow, you're skipping on Will Bolt. Come on, man.
What about baseball?
I can't wait for baseball. Baseball, not only are they're supposed to be good, but also it's just enjoyable to think about going to a baseball game outside because of this horrendous, never-ending winter that we have. Dude,
it's going to be in the 50s this week.
I know. Is there going to be no winter this year?
That'd be nice.
What? Were you not around last week? It was very cold.
Well, like 2 days. This is nothing.
2 days.
I got my short sleeves on.
Oh.
I know what time it is.
It was actually, we have a thermometer in the base. It was 58 degrees in our basement.
What?
This last
Do you not
week.
have heat?
No, we have heat, but I didn't realize it. During the summer, because the basement does get nice and cool. So I closed the vents to help, keep, cool the upstairs. Because we don't need the air conditioning as badly downstairs, and I had the vents still closed. It was 58 degrees.
Oh my gosh!
I've been sleeping in the basement for isolation purposes, and the couch sucks, but the temperature is fantastic.
You're gonna be like, "Hey, honey, can we move our bed?" Well, you guys have like 3 beds that you sometimes.
That's right.
share.
You're already.
Hey, just move downstairs permanently.
I could live down here. I have got everything. I have set this place up so good. Oh my goodness! And that reminds me. During halftime of the game tonight, check out my Twitch stream with my son, where I am continuing our 7-game series of me taking 80s and 90s and early 2000s NBA teams against current teams. And I'm 0-1, lost last night with the 0-2-0-3 Kings or 0-1-0-2 Kings. Against
that was a good team, John. They lost to the Lakers in 7.
They don't, but Jason Williams wasn't on the game. White Chocolate.
Oh yeah,
wasn't
Mike
on the
Bibby
game.
was on that team.
Yeah, I thought Jason Williams was on it. So, but I got the 2001 Lakers tonight. I picked 7 teams.
Oh, they were so good, man.
And they're getting a little better. And we finished with the 95-96 Bulls. That's my 7th. If I get one win, I win the series. Okay, we're gonna be doing one every night.
Okay.
I lost by about 20 last night. Some of those guys for the Pacers had a good game. I don't know who any of them are, but
how are you gonna know? How are you gonna know when to Twitch this if it's halftime of a game you're not going to be watching? I mean,
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
watch it. I'll have it on. I'll have it on.
Okay.
No, we'll be ready, and you don't have to hear the ESPN people bloviate about the game. You can instead
Well,
watch.
it's probably going to be some band, some random band. Remember that one year where they did a concert on some random island somewhere that wasn't even at the stadium for halftime of the national championship?
Maybe it'll be. Maybe
was
it'll
that
be
last year because of COVID.
No, I thought it was 2 years ago. I thought it was before COVID.
If she weren't dead, I would want Nell Carter. That's who I would want.
Best halftime of an Orange Bowl ever.
That's my favorite trivia question.
All right,
Give me
Jeff
a
Mitchell,
break,
ladies
I
and gentlemen.
sure do need one.
Talk to you next week.
Bye, Jack.
See how much better a mood he's in when he's not tweeting about Nebraska ball and he's just kind of thrown in the towel. He's so much happier.
It's good for all of our mental health if we're not watching or discussing Nebraska basketball. Speaking of, I did get this tweet from Riley. He says, I think the biggest difference between when Hoiberg was winning to his time at Nebraska has been how much more commonplace the transfer portal is now. Hoiberg was ahead of his time a bit at Iowa State. That edge is gone now in today's college basketball landscape. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. That was an inefficiency that he was able to take advantage of for a good amount of time at Iowa State, and he has not been able to take advantage of it. The game has changed in such a short amount of time. I still cannot believe that they are this bad, but sure enough, they are indeed this bad.
Well, like I said, I went down a dark place last night, and I'll have some more. Yeah, might as well get it all out of our system now before SIP comes in and burns fire down on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Some rather eye-opening or maybe eye-shutting stats on Nebraska ball when we continue here on Unsportsmanlike Conduct in 1620 The Zone.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Brisk start this morning with temperatures into the teens, but by this afternoon, a bit more mild with highs back up near 33 degrees under sunny skies. As we head into this evening, keeping clear skies with us, chilly tonight with overnight lows dropping to near 20. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
When I'm picking a place to go for lunch or for dinner, I do my research. I see pictures, and then you get to a place and the food doesn't look like the pictures. A place that I've never had to worry about that is Fernando's. They're two fantastic locations serving Mexican food at 114th and Dodge and 75th and Pacific. Tamales to fried tacos to enchiladas to fajitas, and you can just hear them sizzling right now. Don't forget, in this busy time of the year, they cater. Fernando's of Omaha, 114th and Dodge, 75th and Pacific. Stop in today.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. The WAVE technology at Brookside Medical was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces immediate results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 402-671-7777.
We are Courtside KP here with more satisfied and happy John Higgins Weather Guard customers. Tell us, what made you choose the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard for your new roof?
John Higgins Weather Guard didn't try to upsell us on anything. They repaired
repaired our roof. They did a great job, and they followed up.
Make the right call, fans. America's leading installer of Da Vinci roofs and roofs of all styles. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard, providing the highest level of customer service with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau.
Rooferees.
Everyone for Omaha. The Omaha Mavericks men's and women's basketball teams are back in action, and you can see it all at Baxter Arena. Single game tickets are available now at omavs.com/tix. You can support your Mavericks and get your tickets today. omavs.com/tix.
Everyone for Omaha. The Omaha Mavericks hockey team is home this Friday and Saturday at Baxter Arena. Tickets are available for just $10. Get yours now at omavs.com/tix. Come out and support your Mavericks hockey team this weekend at Baxter Arena.
Find your next vehicle at Woodhouse Nissan and experience the difference. Choose your adventure in the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier, Pathfinder, or Armada. Capability comes standard, so you can enjoy the ride knowing that Nissan has you covered. We make it easy to shop, finance, and purchase online or in person at Woodhouse Nissan in Bellevue or at Woodhouse Place. Wherever the road leads you, let Nissan take you there.
It's the Lindley Clothing store-wide January clearance sale. Get up to 75% off. Outerwear, St. Croix sweaters, all denim, all reduced. Plus sport coats, suits, and slacks. Lindley has it all. Lindley Clothing in Linden Market, 132nd and Dodge.
Senior guard Alex O'Connell is inside the Blue Jay zone, talking about his game-tying shot at Marquette.
My first 3 years at Duke, I was never really in a position to shoot a shot like that in a big game. The play we drew up is one that we've run it so many times in practice, and we've executed it multiple times in practice. And, I got a good look, and I rose up, trusted my work, and it fell for us, which was big.
And Alex O'Connell forces a second overtime.
Your home of Creighton basketball is 1620 The Zone.
Dingman's Collision Center, Omaha's top choice. For over 20 years, your safety is our #1 priority.
This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson.
A little slippery inside of tight spaces.
The 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple coming up in a few. Also had a chance to watch a little Casey Thompson film over the weekend. Talk a little bit more about that. And Nebraska did officially get the commit from the 4 or 5-star receiver, depending on which service you prefer.
Oh, he was Trey Palmer was a 4-star as well. I thought he was just a 5.
I've seen in one place, in one location, he was a 5-star, and then a couple of composites because of the average. Not everyone had him as a 5-star, but
damn you, ESPN.
It's whatever you want to believe, folks. It's whatever you want to believe. 4 or 5, either way. It's a blue chip caliber prospect that Nebraska's picked up. But like I was mentioning earlier, we are at a historically bad levels of Nebraska basketball. Historically bad. When you consider how, we can remember some of the worst Doc Sadler teams, the worst of Barry Collier. Even when Danny Nee first started, his first year wasn't great. This is historically bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you quoted it earlier. For those of you who are watching in on the stream, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, you can see the graphic that I have. But it's updated. Remember a couple weeks ago, someone did the worst power conference programs according to the net rankings. And the updated net rankings, and this was as of last night, Georgia is the worst power conference program. Remember, in basketball, most observers observe the power conferences as being the football Power 5 plus the Big East.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's at 227 in the net out of 350 plus teams. Nebraska's 219. So they're the second worst power conference team. Then Oregon State, Missouri, Pittsburgh, Georgetown. They're all within about 20, 25 spots. But I included in the second column because I was curious where it puts those particular programs next to the next worst team in their league. Now, Georgia's at 227. Missouri is at 199. So they're 28 spots behind the next nearest bad, air quotes, SEC school.
So pretty even for the most part.
Yeah. Oregon State, who's the third worst power conference program according to the net, They're 33 spots behind the next nearest Pac-12 school, which is Washington.
Again, same neighborhood.
But Nebraska, at 219 as of late last night, they're 103 spots behind the next nearest Big Ten school in the net rankings, and that's Rutgers, the team that just boat raced them by, was it 28?
Incredible. Incredible that they're that far behind them.
103 spots. It's not even close.
No.
I mean, that shows how, just distant they are from the rest of their league.
Well, you know what it is real fast, John, to make the obvious football to basketball comparisons? That's like Northwestern. Nebraska went 1-8 in conference play, but they boat raced Northwestern, who ended up being, the worst team in the conference.
And then I also went and looked at Ken Palm last night. One of the lead analytics services for college basketball. And I looked at who are the worst power conference programs. Good news. Nebraska's not second. They're only the third worst, according to Ken Palm. But once again, look at the second column. So Georgia is 201st in Ken Palm as of late last night. Worst power conference program. Pitt is 171. Nebraska's 156. But the proximity between Georgia and Missouri is only 53 spots, whereas Nebraska's gap between itself and Minnesota, who is the 13th of the Big Ten schools ranked by Ken Palm, they're 70 spots behind.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the gap is enormous.
Yeah, it shows right now.
In their own league.
Yeah, and we knew it too coming in. Big Ten's going to be a tough league. So to see how far behind everyone that they are, it has to be incredibly frustrating. And now you just put up another graphic, and this is Fred Hoiberg versus power conference schools. And sadly, it's like it gets uglier. It gets uglier from what we just saw.
It does. So this year, Nebraska's 0-9 against power conference foes, which includes not only the Big Ten games that they've lost, but NC State, Creighton. They're 0-9 against power conference teams. Auburn this year. 12 losses in a row dating back to the end of last season. Last year, against power conference teams, and again, we're talking the football Power 5 plus the Big East, Nebraska was 3-19. And the reason I'm emphasizing power conference is these are Nebraska's peers.
Yeah, exactly.
These are Nebraska's peers. These are the schools they generally are. These are the schools they're in conference with. These are the schools they are recruiting against.
Yeah,
they were 3-19 last year against the power conference. Year before, they were 3-21. So far, in just under 3 seasons, roughly 2.5 seasons of basketball, Nebraska is 6-49. Against power conference schools under Fred Hoiberg. 6-49 against their peers. And I went back. And I looked.
You were in a dark place. Holy crap.
And I looked through. Nebraska hasn't had a season with less than 6 power conference wins. A season. Since 2011-2012, which was Doc Sadler's last year. Only 4 times since 1989 had Nebraska had a season where they didn't win 6 power conference games. And the last time I could find a Nebraska team to have 3 or fewer power conference wins was 62-63, which ironically was the last season under Jerry Bush, the grandfather of Fred Hoiberg. And that's kind of stretching it a little because, I mean, it was Big 8, Southwest Conference. There was no Big East. So it's really, it may not be totally apples, but it just gives you an idea that this is historically bad performance.
Yeah, and
I
think to the tweet that we got during the interview with Jack from Amazing Daniel about like it's almost like a what do you do next conversation, and that's why there's not a whole lot of maybe fire Hoiberg, fire and brimstone that's coming out of the fan base right now, because I mean this stuff is historically inept, and with football so often I hate the kind of pessimistic who are we going to get conversation. I think it's incredibly frustrating, especially for a school with Nebraska's resources. And yet I feel like I'm being pretty hypocritical when I say the same thing about Nebraska basketball. But I also say that with honesty. Who are they going to get? And not to say who are they going to get that's better than Hoiberg, because these numbers are so bad that, of course, they can find – there has to be somebody out there who can do a better job. But it's also like I don't know where they go. I don't know who they would go to. And I'm just – I'm flummoxed, man. I'm flummoxed at these types of numbers and how something like this is possible. I'm happy that you showed the power conferences that Nebraska's played and what their record is. Because like you said, these are the peers. These are who they are recruiting against. These are who they are coaching against. These are who they are playing against. And yeah, there are some close losses in there, but there are also some, blowout losses like we saw over the weekend. I just don't know where this program goes. And I know we keep joking about it and fans watching, but I just don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do if you're a Nebraska basketball fan when this is the product that they have, put on the floor forever, really, but especially in the Fred Hoiberg era.
And this doesn't even count the bye games that they've lost. Like
yeah,
Illinois earlier this year.
I was going to say the opener this season.
It's those are the gimmies, the ones against so-called lesser teams. It's historically bad. And yeah, where do you go from here? Well, I mean, you go to whoever's next, but it just, it makes you wonder what exactly does it take to get things turned around?
Yeah.
What does it take to get you just get you back into the conversation? I hesitated last week, Thursday and Friday, when we talked to Robin and Baz about, you don't want to say that it's must win, but you want proof of concept. You want proof that what you did against Ohio State, coming up, falling close in overtime, and hanging in there for 32 to 35 minutes against Michigan State. You want proof of concept that wasn't a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Saturday's result, especially again, poor effort.
Yep.
Horrible defense.
Yep.
Just allowing, this was one of the worst offenses in college basketball, certainly one of the worst offenses in the Big Ten Conference, scoring 90 on you. You wanted that proof of concept that this was that there was progress being made, that you could almost put aside the first month and a half, 2 months of the season with the Western Illinois loss and the embarrassments against Michigan and Auburn, and say, they've turned a corner. They're finding themselves. They're doing something right. And Saturday, it's almost as if Saturday took a giant eraser to Michigan State and Ohio State and said, this didn't happen. This didn't happen. Those games only happened because those teams overlooked Nebraska, but they still won.
Yeah, it's like the same thing that I think we talked about it on Friday. Hey, they had some really good games in early December. They lost a 4 overtime game to NC State. They played well against Indiana before losing by double digits. We saw them do that, and then they came out, and that was when they started laying the stink bombs. They just followed up another stretch like that. They lose an overtime game. They lose a harder fought game against Michigan State, and what did they follow it up with? Saturday against Rutgers. They've done this now 2 times this season.
So there it is. Just like I said, I told you I went to a dark place last night. But
you were in a dark place.
I was genuinely curious because it's like, man, I knew that the Big Ten record was bad, but then when you add all the other power conference games and non-conference games on top of it, I mean, this is your peer group. These are the schools you're playing. These are the schools you've paired yourself up with. Anytime universities talk about peer institutions, these are the peer institutions, and they are so far and distant behind that group that it makes you wonder. And I'm sure that'll make Steve Sipple really excited when we talk to him in a few minutes. He'll join us coming up, 402-951-1620. We'll continue with more of Unsportsmanlike Conduct in a moment on 1620 The Zone.
The NFL plays here on 1620 The Zone.
Email Unsportsmanlike Conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs. We've never seen anything like it. Right now, more people than ever are making their New Year's resolution to focus on one of the most important things in their life, their health and fitness. Join Genesis today with no enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership and become part of the fitness movement with a few simple clicks at GenesisHealthClubs.com. Ask yourself, how would it feel to see those fitness results you've been dreaming of? You can do it at Genesis Health Clubs, I promise you that. We will work with you every step of the way. And right now, you can do it with no enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership. It only takes a few minutes to join, but it could change your life forever. No enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership won't last long. Hurry, just 5 days left. Make it your New Year's resolution. Be part of something big. Say yes to endorphins. Yes to being an active person. And yes to being the healthiest you've ever been. What's more important than your health? No enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership. 5 days left. Let's make this year your best. Join Genesis today at GenesisHealthClubs.com.
Everyone for Omaha, the Omaha Mavericks men's and women's basketball teams are back in action, and you can see it all at Baxter Arena. Single game tickets are available now at omavs.com/tix. You can support your Mavericks and get your tickets today, omavs.com/tix.
It's that time of year again. He's back. Old Man Winter has arrived. If you notice the cold air leaking through your home's windows, give J-Tech Construction a call for a free estimate. Keep winter cold outdoors where it belongs. Let the official exterior experts, J-Tech Construction, upgrade you to triple pane replacement windows and start saving money on your energy bills. The winter cold doesn't have to mean higher heating costs. Get all the details by going to yourexteriorexperts.com and get started.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Find your purpose with work that matters. Methodist is hiring for clinical and non-clinical positions throughout our health system. Join a team that's making a difference and take advantage of a range of benefits like medical, vision and dental, flexible scheduling, and tuition assistance. To find all of our opportunities and apply online, go to bestcare.org/jobs. That's bestcare.org/jobs. Methodist, the meaning of care.
The College Football Championship is here, and to celebrate, FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking up new customers with 30-1 enhanced odds on either team to win. That means you could bet $5 to win $100 and $50 on either team to win it all. I like Georgia, kind of like how Stetson Bennett's throwing it right now. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook using promo code HAPPER, HAPPER, and make a deposit to claim your 30-1 enhanced odds. There's no better place to bet the College Football Championship than on America's #1 sportsbook. And when you win, FanDuel will pay your winnings in as little as 2 hours. Already have FanDuel Sportsbook? FanDuel is hooking up all customers with $50 when you refer a friend, plus your friend will get $50 too. How about that for a deal? Don't miss your chance to win $150 off a $5 bet on the College Football National Championship game. 21 plus, present in Iowa, new users only, $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market, max bonus $150. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
Some reaction to our last segment. Stu Manji, the Stu Manji Stats Bureau, as we call them. He said dark place stats are often the most interesting. Well done. Joe,
he also said, couldn't part of the reason fans aren't clamoring for a change with basketball be that the AD didn't want to pay for Frost buyout? Why would he pay even more to buy out a quote-unquote lesser program's coach? Hard to call for something you know won't happen. And now I understand that logic of, hey, they just did this with football. They decided to bring that coach back. What makes you think they're going to do anything different? I would not look, I did think Frost was going to get fired, and I ended up being wrong on that. I don't think that I'm like super duper confident that Fred Hoiberg is going to get a guaranteed 4th season at Nebraska. Those numbers that you just explained, I mean, we talk a lot about 15-29 and 1-8 in conference play or 3-9. Like, these numbers are worse. These numbers are
historically bad. I mean, we're talking at least with Frost. They're not that this is a lot better, but those are 60-year lows. These are all-time lows.
Yeah.
These are forever lows. These are beyond lows, and you can't even cling to close in many cases.
Yeah,
you can't even.
They're getting blown out. They're losing games. Some of them they're taking overtime. They're going to quadruple overtime, but they're also getting stomped. They have got their last few games against power conference schools. Most of them they've gotten destroyed. So that's a big part of this too. They just look like they don't know what they're doing out there. And I don't want to use the Q word all the time, man, but there are times where you're watching them. It's like, are they trying? And I know that they are. You can't just go out there, and play without trying, but they just have some frustrating performances.
Mina, one of our favorite emailers into the Equitable Bank inbox, says Nebraska basketball is definitely a mess. Not sure if Hoiberg is still working out a rotation or trying to make all his players happy, but Nebraska has 10 players averaging 11 plus minutes a game. That's far too many and not a solid group you can count on, build on, and sub for when needed. Players need dedicated roles and minutes and a chance to play together as a consistent group of 4 to 5 players getting the majority of the minutes. And, that part of that problem is they're still hunting and guessing as to exactly what they want to do. I thought it was pretty illuminating, when we were talking to Robin last week. They thought they had hit on something with Derek Walker entering the offense through him, kind of playing 1 in, 4 out, and at least, have a presence in the high post. And for the most part, that tweak had worked. And that was a similar tweak that they had used at the end of last season when they won a couple of conference games. And then, of course, this year happens and you bring in a 5-star and you've got some new wing talent and you want to show that off instead of going back to necessarily what worked the year before. And it just goes to show you that you're still in a guessing game as to what it is you want to be, not just in terms of schematically, but also in terms of personnel. You're trying to figure out who you want to be.
Yeah, and you can't be having those discussions this many years in, this many games into this season. Yeah, it brings up a whole other host of issues because you're going up against teams that know what they are. I mean, the difference, man, the numbers that you just had, the net rankings, the difference between Nebraska, the worst team in the Big Ten, and then the second worst team is staggering. It's staggering. And that just shows how much tougher this climb is going to get throughout the rest of the season.
Daniel asked an interesting question. What do you even look for? What are the qualifications? Why is it so hard to win here? It's something certainly we can continue to tackle as the season goes on, because I don't think this conversation is going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if the football school component, or at least the idea of the football school hurts Nebraska more than others. And I get it. Michigan.
I was going to say Ohio State.
Ohio State can be good.
Florida won championships in both.
Florida's won championships in both. Florida State has been good at both. USC
Miami
currently is having a good season.
But Wisconsin.
But I do wonder,
Iowa.
I do wonder if this is another one of those strains on the population, because again, Nebraska, small state, comparatively speaking. It also doesn't help that you haven't been able to recruit your state very well at all.
Yeah, that's a huge part of this, man.
Through several coaching staffs, not just this one.
Yep. Bingo.
Well, Steve Sipple is coming up next, and I'm sure he's got takes on this. Plus, we'll find out if there's another transfer leak he wants to just go ahead and mention, though the one he leaked last week on the show hasn't done anything yet. In fact, he still has to visit.
I was going to say he's visiting this weekend, though. I bet it's going to go down this weekend.
All right. Well, we'll get the latest from Steve Sipple coming up next here on Unsportsmanlike Conduct and 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. Looks like if you're headed south on the JFK, you're going to run into some delays with the crash at the Cornhusker Road. Also, got reports of a crash from 2 right lanes blocked on eastbound I-80 at 42nd. That's causing delays back to at least 60th. You got a wreck at 156th and S Street. And then if you're headed east on L Street, you're going to see delays starting at about 102nd going to 90th. I'm Mike Neville. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $855 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Finally venturing out? Stop by Cobb's Pizza, 72nd and Jones or the Shadow Lake Town Center to grab a bite, have a beverage, and watch the game. Cobb's Pizza makes delicious pizza, fresh salads, and tasty charred wings with a variety of homemade sauces. They even offer keto crusts. Or try a cream cheese pizza sauce. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Cobb's Pizza, 72nd and Jones and the Shadow Lake Town Center. Or click cobbspizza.com to see their extensive Shadow Lake menu, pizza, and so much more.
Introducing Venture X, Capital One's new travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats. Dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people. Small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Listen to Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Overtime, the Creighton men's basketball postgame show on 1620 The Zone, and live from the downtown Addie Sports Bar and Grill on 10th Street right after every home game, exclusively on your home for Creighton Blue Jays, 1620 The Zone.
For Creighton sports news, tune into Blue Jay Banter every Monday night at 6. And if 1 hour isn't enough for your Blue Jay fix, check out BlueJayBanter.com. Get up-to-the-minute recruiting news, commentary, and chat with other Blue Jay fans. That's Blue Jay Banter, Monday night at 6 on 1620 The Zone. Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
I think we can settle into mediocre radio for a little bit here.
I called in from Lincoln. I was driving in my car, covering the Huskers, writing for the Journal-Star. We talk every Monday at this time. I'm a friend of the program and they are mine. Hoiberg is bad, but Frost is fine. My name's Ted Full and I'm all right.
I stress threesome.
It is Steve Sipple time on a Monday, or should I say Joe Willie Sipple. Greg in Lincoln says, does Sip call for a sweep of Illinois and Purdue after calling his shot at Rutgers with Damon and Gary last week? So, Joe Willie, what do you think?
That was a terrible prediction. That was terrible. I don't know. I didn't realize that Rutgers was that good. Rutgers is pretty good. I mean, I give Rutgers.
They're almost dead last in the conference in defense or in offense. They're not that good.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. Be careful now.
Okay, pretty good in comparison to the team that they played, but I wouldn't say pretty good in comparison to the rest of their league.
No, they're pretty good in comparison to a lot of the league. They are. I think that'll bear itself out in time.
Then why'd you pick Nebraska to win?
Yeah.
Because I thought Nebraska were playing pretty good, and I thought it was just time for them to get hot and get somebody. It was just a hunch, and it was a terrible hunch. I'm not going to make the mistake again this week. I mean, I almost went down that road on my show this morning. and said, you know what, watch them beat Illinois. No, I don't see it. I just don't see it this time. But yeah, it's horrible. I've been making horrible predictions for most of my working life, so it shouldn't be that surprising.
Sip, I remember last year, and I think it was really after Bill Moose got pushed out the door, that I kind of asked a question to you of like, so Frost is probably going to be on the hot seat, right? And I think, collectively we all realized he would be, and over the course of the season, of course, that bared out, and he's getting year 5. I ask you the question now about Fred Hoiberg. Is he coaching for his job? Because, like, on one hand, it seems obvious, like his record is horrific. I can't imagine a worse record, around here. And yet I just don't know, given somebody tweeted in the number you mentioned on your show this morning on the ticket. His buyout number is incredibly high.
Yeah, $18.5 million is his buyout. He was given an extension after his 7-25 first season, 7-25, 2-18. Moose gave him an extension. It was quiet. It was during it was June, and the pandemic had just hit in March of that year, 220. I think that factors into the discussion for sure. Is he? I don't know. There's different ways to look at coaching for your job. I would think, there's a part of me that says we're just sort of making a mockery of the program if we're not talking about that.
Sure, I'm with you, man.
Of course we are. These are historically bad numbers.
About going 2-18 again in the league. I think he went 2-18. I'm not sure what the second year was, and another 2-18. I think it's 3-17. Then what are we talking about at this point? I mean. But I'll tell you one thing I learned over the weekend, and I learned it again today, is there's a lot of people that say, no, you can't move on from this. You got to give him time.
Why?
Yeah. Well, they dig in their heels pretty hard. I guess some people say you got to give him time to develop the program, but I don't think they understand that he doesn't really have a developmental program. I mean, they turn over the roster
every year.
Yeah, it's a young team. It's not young. They're going to turn it over again.
I mean, this program is like the kid on their video games. If they don't like what they're seeing, they hit the reset button every year at the end of the year. Reset button, new game.
Right, and so now that can, I guess, you could use that as a way to say, yeah, bring him back, reset. He's going to bring in a bunch of different players. Now see what that looks like. I guess. I'm not sitting here advocating for the firing of Fred Hoiberg. I guess at this point, I've said this on your show, the pendulum has swung so fast this year, it's almost swung past criticism for me to concern for the program. I mean, like, how far are you going to let this go? I've been watching the team. I've been watching Nebraska basketball since I was 9. Okay, I'm 55, so for 40 plus years, I've not seen it this bad.
Mm-hmm.
I've just not. I haven't seen it as bad as it is right now. And that's, you're going through. You could maybe pick out a few teams, but good luck. I don't think
Stip, I did it last night. We just had the numbers. They're 6-49 against power conference competition. 6-49. They haven't had a year where they haven't had a year where they've won more than 3 power conference games in 2.5 years. You have to go back 60 years to find the last team that had only 3 wins against what would have been considered way back then power conference competition. They're historically bad.
Okay, so I think that's important. That conversation is important. Just as I know what people are thinking. Well, you never say this about Frost, and yes, I absolutely do. I mean, I get that all the time, but I don't know. For one thing, this conversation's a little different than the football conversation because there's clear instances where they're not competing. They're not competitive here. I mean, they weren't at Rutgers. That's not Sipple talking. Fred Hoiberg said it after the game. So I don't know. He's got his hands full for sure. it is interesting that a lot of people still dig in their heels, and it's because Fred's one of the best guys you'll ever find. I mean, he is. I don't know him that well, but I know people who do, and they say that no, he's virtually flawless. He's a tremendous. He's genuine. He's kind. He's a gentleman. He shoots you straight, but he's fair. But there's something he's just not getting through to his guys on a lot of the stuff.
Kind of like Mike Riley.
Hey, Mike Riley went to bowl games though,
and Mike Riley's going to the USFL.
Yeah. Sip, we got a question from a listener last segment that, I mean, it's been asked a million times. So this is not going to be an original question from yours truly, but basically, like, how in the world has this happened? This was a guy who it wasn't even like he was an up and comer. He was a proven coach. He got to go to the NBA because of how good he was at Iowa State. Why has it gotten this low? Because you're right, man. This isn't just bad. This isn't a bad stretch. This is historically inept basketball from the worst basketball program in the power conferences. How did this happen?
Well, the one way to put it is it's roster mismanagement. It's poor roster construction. This is what you get when, he's put the recruiting in the hands of, essentially one assistant. Now, you can't say Fred's not involved in recruiting. I hear that. I will hear people say that. I'll read people, writing that on social media, and I'll hear it, people DM me, text me, whatever. This is what you get, Sip, when the head coach isn't involved in recruiting. Well, he has to be involved in recruiting at some level. I mean, if it only means signing off on the recruit, but whatever, yeah, it's. I think a lot of the issue is a concentration of power in one assistant, Matt Abdelmassi's hands, and probably not enough checks and balances there. I think that can happen, and the roster. I mean, it's not. Like, I hate to be overly critical of a guy like Matt. I don't know him, but I hate to. I mean, it's a poorly constructed roster. That's it. I mean, it's not. I don't know how you could say otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like sort of a mismatched group of players that they hoped would work, but it doesn't look like it's put together with much thought. It's okay. This guy's a highly ranked player. This guy, is a looks like a good transfer. But it doesn't look like it was. It just looks like they brought him to Lincoln and hoped that it would work, as opposed to, putting some thought into it. It's odd. I mean, they've tried to go without a point guard, basically. Kobe Webster is an answer to a certain degree, but he's never really been a true point guard. It's certainly not in the Big Ten or in a Big Ten level conference. Western Illinois. Trey McGowan's has been out. And people would say, well, he can play point. Well, he's not really. He's not a good point. I mean, I'm not. All you got to do is look at his assist to turnover ratio. I mean, it's not good. He hasn't made great decisions with the ball. That's not a great answer. They're not big enough. They're getting a lot out of Walker, and Fred's done a great job now of running a lot of the offense through Walker. That's a tweak, and it's worked. It's been effective, but I mean, they're just so flawed that it's hard to overcome all those flaws.
Sip, last week after we got the news, in fact, Friday when we got the news, I mentioned that I thought, given the situation of where Nebraska's status was at the time, who they were looking for, who other teams were looking for in the portal, who was in the portal, that Casey Thompson is about as good as Nebraska could do in terms of a transfer quarterback. I gave it a B+/A- grade. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think 24/7 Sports had him as the 10th ranked overall player in the portal, not quarterback overall. It's pretty high. Yeah, I mean, this off season has gone pretty well for Frost. I mean, it's the way, the manner in which he hired the coaches that he got was all, that all worked out pretty well. They got, Mickey got him a receiver from LSU. They got a quarterback that looks, he looks good. I hear the ongoing conversation in my mind is he better than Martinez? Now, that's interesting. I'm not necessarily signing off on that summarily, but he might be. I think he might be a little better decision maker, but we'll see. And I think they need, and I will say this, I think it made a lot of sense to get new blood in there. I think new blood makes a lot of sense on the coaching staff and at the quarterback position.
You know, Sip, you wrote something. I don't remember if it was the column today or the column yesterday, but you wrote, factoring in newcomers and holdovers, Nebraska's wideouts and tight ends are the offense's strongest position groups. I'm not certain that that's the best news for the Huskers. And I was thinking about that quote just now as you answered about Casey Thompson, because I kind of wanted to ask you, like, where do you see as the most upside with him individually, and perhaps where do you see the most downside? Because I almost wonder if the biggest downside might be, and look, still time to put the roster together more and to get new players in, but just given where the strengths and weaknesses are, like the lack of a running game that we know of at this point in time, and the lack of a good offensive line, like they're seemingly at this juncture putting some pressure on him to deliver the ball to those wide receivers without knowing if he's going to get a whole lot of help elsewhere in the offense, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, a lot of it points to like a quicker passing game, right? Which we haven't seen a lot of. Yeah, I mean, I think what your question is very legitimate. I'm not going to do that thing where I rule out the possibility for success because we don't know exactly what this is going to look like. But right now, think about it. Just think about the receiver room. Think about the tight end room, mainly, with Vokalek and Fedoni, but also Chris Hickman. I mean, I think at some point we're going to see Chris Hickman emerge as a very good player in the program. I think he has that. I think he's pretty good. But mainly it's Vokalek, Fedoni. I mean, those are two. Vokalek is a really good player. Now, you add Palmer, Trey Palmer to the receiver group. You add the kid from New Mexico State to Omar Manning and Betts and Oliver Martin and Alante Brown, and you got something there. But all I'm saying, Josh, is I like the receiver room a lot more right now than I like the running back room. And then when you throw in the tight ends with the receivers, it's that more pronounced. And I almost wish it was more, man, I'm looking at this offensive line and thinking this might be the best position group along with the running back. In the Big Ten, that's what's working. I mean, that's what's working in your own division, right? Now, Nebraska, they don't look like they're in the position to play like that right now. But you can win other ways. But the reason I wrote what I did is because of that whole discussion about what's going on in the Big Ten, Michigan winning with that power run game, what's going on in your own division, and then your lack of success with doing what you've been doing.
And for the record, I agree with you, by the way, on that being a strength. I like the potential of that, of both of those rooms. I just wonder what it means then for the rest of the offense.
Right. Yeah. And that's what, now that gets to a really interesting conversation because that's what they're deciding. They have to be putting that together right now. And I mean, the offense, Whipple, Mickey, Frost, Donovan Raiola. I don't know if they're doing it right now, but it's getting to the point now where it's time. Now you got to start figuring out how this is going to work. So it's really, really interesting. I would love to be in those rooms and hear what they're saying.
Well, as you wrote today, you reminded us of the quote that Mark Whipple had when he was introduced to the Nebraska media about having the Steelers in his DNA, talking about needing, the key is being able to run the ball when the other team knows you need to run the ball and still being able to do it. Yet, when you look at his last 8 offenses, and we're talking about the ones he had at Pitt and the ones he had at UMass, they only cleared 4 yards per carry 3 times in those 8 seasons. His best national finish in yards per carry was 70th. And I'm about to put up a graphic right now that we shared a couple of weeks ago on Whipple, and just to show you what I'm talking about for those of you watching in the stream. But 70th, 4.3 yards a carry. Unless you're preparing to beat Iowa, where they were comfortable being at 4 yards a carry but getting turnovers up the wazoo. I mean, that to me is a little bit concerning. That
it is except for, what he said was he's in the Big Ten now. Now, I think he has to adjust to his league, right? And that's what you hope. I think that's what you hope if you're a Nebraska fan. These are very, very interesting conversations to me because, listen, I think we know what works in the Big Ten. The Big Ten, we've seen what works. And it's what we're talking about, running when you have to, having a good, reliable run game. The other part of the conversation, though, is you have to play to your strengths. And we just established what their strengths are right now. Now, that could change because, there could be a couple more offensive linemen coming out of the portal that change that conversation, that change the line conversation. I know they want a running back out of the portal. Maybe they get a big-time running back. I'm not saying they get like a Walker, like Michigan State got, but that conversation could change as you go into the portal and get players. So, but right now, if you're saying Nebraska's going to play to its strengths, well, you just landed a quarterback who doesn't run a lot. It looks like he can, but he has 55 times last season, and then you have your best position groups are your receivers and your tight ends.
Sip, you mentioned a couple answers ago, you talked about the Michigan offense and Jim Harbaugh. I wonder, there was that report last week that came out via Bruce Feldman that he might be kicking the tires on going back to the pros. Let's do a thought exercise. He decides to go to the NFL. What does that mean for the Big Ten if Jim Harbaugh leaves Michigan right as they're seemingly re-entering the conversation as a conference contender?
Well, I mean, immediately I would say it loses some prestige. Now, depending on now that conversation is obviously affected by whom replaces him, and I don't have a beat on that right now. Where Michigan would go for its next coach, but I mean Harbaugh equates to prestige in the sport of football in this country, right? I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like him or not, that he
matters.
His name with football prestige at the highest levels because he's done it at the highest levels, both as a player and a head coach. So, as far as how it affects it greatly. I mean, in a lot of ways. But really, it's hard to answer the question, Josh, without knowing who's replacing him. I don't know. I don't know what on earth they would do to do it. But if I was him, he's going to have. It looks like he's got. I don't know. Based on Feldman's report, the Bears and the Raiders might be options.
Mm-hmm.
There could be Miami. I don't know what they're saying in Miami right now.
Oh, the owner said, because he's a big Michigan guy, Stephen Ross said today, I won't be the one that takes Jim Harbaugh away from Michigan.
Oh, he said that.
He actually said that. Because he's a big Michigan guy, and he even so much as said, hey, he really likes Jim Harbaugh, but I won't be the guy to take him away from the University of Michigan.
Well, I mean, Harbaugh, this is an unpopular take, I have found, but if I were Harbaugh, I'd run to the NFL right now because of the way college football trended. I would sprint toward the first available job in the NFL.
Even if it's the Bears?
yeah. Even if it's the Bears, yeah. At his age and where he's at in his career, yeah, I'd sprint like I was being chased by a pit bull. I don't know that he'll do that.
Sip, you mentioned we were talking about the start of the conversation. You thought that Nebraska was going to beat Rutgers. Your advice was bad. Asian Joe wants to know. He says, I'm going to need Sip's prediction for the game tonight so I can bet the opposite. Obviously, you're taking Bama, right? So tell Joe to bet on Georgia.
No, I've said that before. If you hear me going hard on a team, like saying I absolutely think this is going to happen, I would absolutely take the other team.
Okay.
And I'm going hard on Georgia tonight. I think Georgia will win the game, and I really believe it. So I'd probably be inclined, if I was a listener, to take Alabama.
That's a heck of a reverse jinx there, Sip. Well done by you, the
yes,
Alabama.
Yes, it is. Yeah, way to get your
Georgia. Sorry, guys, I just don't see Alabama winning.
Yeah, I love Georgia tonight. I am going to say I don't mind saying I love. And I did. I watched the entirety of the SEC title game, and I saw what Alabama did to them. But Alabama's a little banged up front. They don't have John Mechie. They're not going to run the ball on Georgia like they ran it against Cincinnati. They did run it okay against Georgia the first time around, but that was a Bryce Young game in the SEC title game, and I don't know if they can do that twice to that defense. I don't think they can.
Speaking of your guy there, Nick Saban, don't know if you saw his press conference yesterday, but he did mention that, when he was asked about NIL, and he said, we've got to have some legislation to control that. There will be an imbalance as to who dominates college football if it isn't regulated. Do you agree?
I've been saying that for a year. I don't know though. I don't completely buy into that. Because I just think there's rogue places that can rise up with a bunch of money. Like you saw Eastern Michigan do that with Caleb Williams, where Charlie Batch, the former I guess he's a former Eastern Michigan quarterback who played in the NFL, said, well, we'd offer Caleb Williams $1 million. So it's not like there's other schools, non-Power 5, whatever, that don't have wealthy boosters who can come up with $1 million for somebody or more. So I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to work out. Regulation is a nice. It's a good notion. I just don't know how. I don't know how you're going to do it. I mean, there's just a lot of complication to that conversation.
And then, Sip, real quick before we say goodbye, Jed says, damn you, Sip. I had Georgia winning the title at the beginning of the season. I guess I won't be winning that $300.
Well, I don't know. I shouldn't sit wrong on everything, but I feel like
quite a bit of things.
I've gone hard on something. It doesn't work out at all.
Yeah, I know that feel.
All right. Well, no breaking news today on who is quarterbacking Nebraska next year. Haven't heard anything about your guy, have you?
Chubba. What are you talking about? Chubba.
Yeah.
Last week you basically said Chubba was in.
Chubba's on the roster. I mean, maybe we'll see what happens.
I did say that, but Chubba. It was just a like that drop a lot.
It's
Chubba.
very funny. It's very funny, Chubba.
It's really distracting though for me. Chubba. Yeah, I mean, we'll stay on that. You saw what Chubba got an Oklahoma
He did.
offer. So Chubba will be around here this weekend, and maybe they can lock him down.
All right, Sip. Well, good luck to your Tide tonight.
Thank you for calling them my Tide.
It's 365 days since they last won a national championship. That drought has been forever.
Yeah, tough world.
Well, they earn it, certainly, and they will earn it tonight if they get it done. Remember, banged up a little up front scares me. No Mechie scares me. And that front seven, I don't know what they were doing that first time around in the SEC title game for Georgia. Georgia didn't look like it played particularly hard in that game. I don't know. I'm very wary of that whole thing. But on the other hand, I mean, come on, Nick Saban lives in the head of Kirby.
Yep,
and that might be enough.
Yeah, we'll have some facts and figures for you a bit later on.
Facts and figures.
Yeah, from the national championship for tonight. Nice. Sip, thank you much. Take care.
Bye, Sip. Love you.
Love you.
There he is, Steve Sipper, the Journal Star.
I got a couple of tweets about the as James refers to him, the next transfer / savior quarterback that I would like to tackle when we return.
The savior. Okay. Sounds good.
And Jordan wants to know if I licked too many doorknobs and ended up in COVID protocols. No doorknob licking in this house.
Now, before I can't let this lie because, Sip started the conversation by talking about how good Rutgers was. I will have you know, Rutgers has losses too. The worst team in the Big East, DePaul, to Lafayette, and to UMass. And by the way, UMass is 7-7 this season, and UMass has losses to Weber State, Ball State, and Northeastern among their 7 losses.
Yeah, but UMass also got Calipari back, so it makes sense. It's a good basketball program. Marcus Camby, he's back again. It's awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, back with more in a minute. It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Brisk start this morning with temperatures into the teens, but by this afternoon, a bit more mild with highs back up near 33 degrees under sunny skies. As we head into this evening, keeping clear skies with us, chilly tonight with overnight lows dropping to near 20. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KTV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
1620 The Zone Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. As far as wrecks go, it looks like a crash out on 156th and F Street is in cleanup stages, still causing a little bit of a delay. If you're east on L Street, expect delays starting at about I-80, going to about 90th. Getting reports of delays on Dodge for both directions between 78th and 84th, and also delays out on West Center Road for both directions around 175th. I'm Mike Neville. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Burton AC, Plumbing, Heating, and More.
Foul! Drain blocking. Time to call Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More. Right now, get any drain opening for just $88. Drain it for $88. Schedule your drain service today at justcallburton.com.
Creighton Sports Update. The Creighton Blue Jay basketball season has returned, and you can get your single game tickets today. Come out and support your Blue Jays all season long as they battle in the Big East. To purchase your tickets, go to Ticketmaster.com, go Creighton.com/tickets, or visit the on-campus ticket office located at Ryan Athletic Center. For the full schedule and to stay up to date with the Blue Jays, visit GoCreighton.com.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
You're in the driver's seat with Woodhouse. Shop, finance, and buy your next vehicle your way. From the comfort of your home at woodhouse.com, one of our 19 dealerships, or a combination of both. It's that easy. Plus, offering the most wanted new makes and leading pre-owned models, your next vehicle is on the lot or on its way. Shop confidently with the Woodhouse team today. Serving customers and communities since 1975. This is Woodhouse.
This January 19th, celebrate what connects us on I Love Public Schools Day.
Everyone who's been in my class has made a link, and we connected them all together and hung them up. So today you're going to add your link, and on it, I'm going to ask you to write something that really represents you in this moment. The links serve as a reminder that we're all a part of this community forever, and there's meaning in that.
Discover ways to celebrate and share your story at iloveps.org. If you haven't been to school in a while, you might be surprised to see what it's like now. That's where we come in. We are Nebraska Loves Public Schools. We capture the strength and humanity of schools across our state. We make films. We make shirts. We share the stories of schools today. It's the heart of our work. Discover more at iloveps.org.
I'm not saying you have to love football. We all have different likes and dislikes, people. Personally, I'm not a fan of the avocado. I just don't like the mouthfeel. But if you're someone who loves football, truly loves it well, my sportsbook app might be the greatest thing that has ever happened to you.
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
We invite you to find your mechanic at Dingman's Mechanical. Mike did.
I had vibration in the wheel. I called Todd on a Friday afternoon. I was leaving town the next day. He fit me in at 4 o'clock. By the time I got there, he had the parts sitting there, ready to go.
Why do you trust Dingman's Mechanical?
Dingman's, I feel, really goes the extra mile. Super knowledgeable, super trustworthy. Experiences I had with them. They took care of the cars. They took care of the problems. They took care of me, the customer.
Thanks, Mike. The next time you need mechanical service, visit us at Dingman's Mechanical Repair, dingmansmechanical.com.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats. Dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Join online for no enrollment, month to month at genesishealthclubs.com.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
He's OG, as the kids might say.
The 1620 The Zone.
Still to come, yes, we will preview tonight's national championship game. Also, we're going to review our NFL predictions.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Well, we're going to find out how that went. By the way, I saw, I can't remember whose nugget it was. I don't think it was a Pete King nugget. I think it was a Nate Davis nugget.
Oh.
From USA Today, the USA Today. So this year's playoff lineup features 7 new teams from last year. So half the playoff field is new from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals, Bengals, Cowboys, Raiders, Patriots, Eagles, and Frisco. And ever since we expanded the playoff field, NFL expanded the field.
When John and I were involved in expanding.
Yes, back in 1990 when I was in my first year in college and I expanded the NFL playoff.
2.
At least 4 new clubs have reached the postseason every year. So there's been at least a 4-team turnover every year since 1990. I mean, that's 30 plus years, 32 years. And there have been 4 new playoff teams every single year. And I think back to
on that college football.
70s or 80s, where every year in the AFC, it was Miami, Oakland, and Pittsburgh. And in the NFC, it was Dallas, the Rams, and the Minnesota Vikings. You know, it's just like every year you can just count on those teams. And in the 80s, it was always Bears, Giants, 49ers, Redskins. And then in the AFC, it wasn't quite as, but Denver was in every year.
Yep. The Browns for a while.
And then the Browns. I mean, it's just, it's crazy to think about how much parity. But you said something at the beginning of the program.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm afraid, I'm just warning you as someone who has just had to deal with them.
Yeah.
You are trying to now, you haven't even talked yourself into this. You now believe that this is the year that the Dallas losing streak in the playoffs ends.
Yeah, I decided on Saturday night.
No, you already sound like you're backing down.
Look, I know. Look, this is on video. This is on audio. People are going to be able to throw this back in my face when I'm probably wrong, because only one team out of the 14 that remains gets to. Oh, you don't have to do a close up, but only one team gets to win. And I'm going to believe that Dallas is the team to do it. And it will hurt me. It's going to destroy me mentally. But one of the things I was thinking about it over the weekend. One of the things that I am jealous of with a lot of the Nebraska football fans around here is that the optimism never seems to dissipate. They can lose to Illinois like they did in the opener, and people are still like, yeah, but hey, there's still 11 more games, more opportunities to rebound. They beat Northwestern. And I remember my mentions the next day, oh, here we go. This is the beginning of a 4-game winning streak. 4-game winning streak. Of course, we know what ended up happening. I used to be able to do that with them, but I can't anymore. I don't anymore. And so now I look at the Dallas Cowboys going into the playoffs. I save your laughs. This is the 4th time since 2014 that Dallas has made it to the NFL playoffs. In 2014, I thought that they could go on a run, but I didn't believe they would. Going into that game at Lambeau Field that year, the Des Cauditt game, I thought, hey, there's no way that they're going to beat the Packers. They're going to lose. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl. The next time they made it, 2 years later in 2016, I was basically the same way. Dallas was a 1 seed. They had the home game against the Packers. I thought they would lose. Sure enough, they bowed out to the Packers in round 2. In 2018, they're not as good of a seed. They get a home game because they won the NFC East. But I thought, hey, maybe they'll go on a run. I didn't really believe that they could, though. They bowed out to your Rams. Thankfully, not the Packers in round 2. This year, I think that they can do it. I think that this is the best team that I have been able to watch. I started watching the Dallas Cowboys, sadly, in 1996. This is the most complete version of the Dallas Cowboys that I think I've been watching in that time frame. It's definitely the best combination of really good offense and really good defense. Does this leave me open for mockery? Of course it does. Dallas, being a fan of the Cowboys, leaves me open for mockery. Does it allow my heart to get broken into a million pieces if they lose on Sunday, or if they lose next week, or if they lose the week after, or if they lose in February? Of course it does. But I'm not going to like couch my feelings this time around. I am both hoping, but I'm also believing that they can do this. So bring on this stupid month of football, because I'm here for it, and I'm ready for Dallas to win the Super Bowl. And all you rude, hurtful folks out there to bow before me and say, Josh, your team is the best team in the NFL.
Well, I won't say that. If they win, they'll just be the luckiest team. They'll be the hottest team.
Okay, we are now living in your world. This is the world that we live in, the world where the Cowboys are champions again. I'm hoping like hell it actually happens. But in all seriousness, I think that they can do it. I think that this is a nice run. I love now that they're the 3 seed. I like that they get to avoid Lambeau until the NFC Championship game if they were to get there. That said, yes, I of course am scared, poopless about the matchup versus the 49ers. This is like one of the matchups I didn't want in the first round because of how physical.
You're welcome.
Yeah, how physical they are.
You're welcome. This is your payback for not clinching us a division last week.
Yeah,
making yesterday less meaningful. But I'm happy for you. I'm glad you have more optimism heading into these playoffs than I do about my team. But that's another story altogether.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, I think, and I'm not saying that they're going to get to the Super Bowl, but if there is a team, because I always look for that team. Who is that team? Last year, it was Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was that team that, came into the playoffs playing decent, but certainly no one expected that they were gonna oust Green Bay and then certainly not beat Kansas City. And they did both. If there is a team that fits the vibe, to use a Nickism, he's not here today, he's on vacation, hope he's enjoying it. If there's a team that fits that vibe, it's San Francisco. Big difference, of course, is they don't have Tom Brady.
I was going to say they don't have the quarterback.
They only have the ultimate game manager, Jimmy Garoppolo. But circumstances be what they are. If there is a team that fits that mold this year, it is San Francisco.
Everybody's talking themselves into their team being that team, right? Like, the team. Okay,
I'm not.
Well, you're not. The teams that should make the Super Bowl.
I don't think Cardinal fans are.
Yeah. The team that should make the Super Bowl is probably the Packers, because they're the best team in the NFC. And
sure,
I guess
you get the best record. Aaron Rodgers is playing better now than he has before. Whatever magic toe injury he had is gone.
Yep. And then I guess probably the Chiefs out of the AFC. Like, those are the teams that probably should make the Super Bowl. But we're all trying to find reasons why our teams can make it, or why teams other than, if your team isn't still in the playoff, make sure trying to find teams that are, good enough to upset a rival or something like that. So as Banks now plays with the toy.
I was going to say, is someone playing with his squeeze toy over there?
Yeah, he had been taking a nap for the last 2.5 hours. He just went outside and now he's playing with a toy.
Now he's playing with a squeeze toy.
Yeah,
Well,
indeed.
we will see. We will see what happens. But man, I don't envy you.
Yeah. Your team is in the playoffs too.
No, I don't envy you in terms of the matchup that you have.
Oh yeah.
I truly think this is one of the worst matchups Dallas could have had, outside of playing Green Bay right away.
Yeah.
In Green Bay, but it's the first round.
Yeah, I did like the possibility of matching up better with Arizona second time around, just because, I don't know. I didn't think that they could do that again 2 times in such a short amount of time.
No,
but
I wouldn't think so either.
The thing that I like about this matchup is they don't have to go against Kyler Murray, and Jimmy G is a statue, and I think that they could make his life hell. But if San Francisco can run the ball and they can out physical Dallas, then it's going to be a really long day. And that goes back to what I said a couple minutes ago. This defense is the defense that I believe in more than any other. And I think here the biggest key to Dallas winning or losing in any of the playoff games that they have, whether it's 1 or 4, what I'm going to talk about every Friday is going to be takeaways. If they get takeaways, Dallas is going to win games. If they don't, they're going to lose. We saw that against Arizona. No takeaways, I believe, right? 0 takeaways. They lost the game. Mm-hmm. If they get takeaways, they are a pain in the ass for anybody that they play.
Well, more coming up on the NFL and the playoffs and everything else throughout the week. Certainly the seedings and the matchups are going to be very interesting. The fact that my team has to play on Monday night disgusts me. But what you get for not beating Frisco.
Yeah, there's a real nerdy question that I have in there about, like, what does this mean for the divisional round TV times? Because
it better mean that Green Bay, who could and
that'll be a Sunday game.
Yeah, but
has to be. They can't put your team on Monday and Saturday. And I know
the problem is if San Francisco wins, they would go to Green Bay.
So then they'll I think they're going to wait. Like, the good thing is, no matter what happens, they will know by Sunday late afternoon, early evening. They will know who is playing in the second round. It will either be Dallas at Tampa Bay, or it would be, because if Philadelphia were to win, we would know Philadelphia is at Green Bay. So no matter what happens on Sunday, they're going to know. So my guess is they're going to announce the TV times on Sunday night next week. So we'll see.
I hate it. My Monday's ruined next week.
Yeah.
Completely ruined. All right, still to come. We're gonna look back at our NFL predictions, see how bad they were.
Oh boy.
Also, still ahead, a preview of tonight's national championship game as Georgia and Alabama closing in on kickoff. I keep forgetting where this game is. Oh yeah, that's right. It's Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
In Indianapolis.
I see that a lot of people are triggered. A lot of Southerners are like, it's cold. It's like, yeah, it's Indiana.
Really? Oh, you're going inside. Shut up.
Exactly. Who cares? There's a little snow on the ground. You'll be fine.
Back in a minute. It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone is easy to hear anywhere. On air, online, and on social media. Wherever you are, we are. 1620 The Zone.
The College Football Championship is here Monday night to celebrate. FanDuel Sportsbook's going to hook up new customers 30-1 odds, Damon, on enhanced odds for either Alabama or Georgia to win. Bet $5, win $150 on either team.
Yeah, enhanced odds, that's a fantastic thing, but you can't do any of it until you get the FanDuel Sportsbook app downloaded. You're going to enter the promo code ZONE. It's super easy to use. The app is really friendly. There's a reason it's America's #1 sportsbook app. And if you're already a user of FanDuel, they're hooking up all customers with a $50 refer a friend refund. That means either way, you're a winner.
You like UGA or the elephant?
Oh, I'm going Team UGA.
You can download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Head to sportsbook.fanduel.com. Sign up using promo code ZONE to get 30-1 odds on either team to win. 21 and over. Present Iowa users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Maximum bonus $150. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. The WAVE technology at Brookside Medical was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces immediate results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 402-671-7777.
It's that time of year again. He's back. Old Man Winter has arrived. If you notice the cold air leaking through your home's windows, give J-Tech Construction a call for a free estimate. Keep winter cold outdoors where it belongs. Let the official exterior experts, J-Tech Construction, upgrade you to triple pane replacement windows and start saving money on your energy bills. The winter cold doesn't have to mean higher heating costs. Get all the details by going to yourexteriorexperts.com and get started.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
It's what you need. 1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. 1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
Well, sadly, Josh, this doesn't require a sports flash, but today the College Football Playoff Committee and the presidents and the muckety mucks, they met.
Yeah.
And, they didn't come to any kind of a decision, according to Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby, who's one of the 11 members of the committee. We have entrenched issues that are no closer to be resolved. According to a current executive director of the CFP, Bill Hancock, quote, "We're going into overtime," to which Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, who is holding his press conference, which might as well double as the State of the SEC address because he's got two teams playing tonight, said that this is like the new college football overtime rules where we're constantly going for two and no one's making it, in reference to the Penn State-Illinois game from earlier this year. Now, Mississippi State President Mark Keenum, who is the head of the board of managers of the college football playoff, said that he is still optimistic that an agreement can be reached in time for early implementation.
Yeah, I'm not buying that anymore.
But the Pac-12 just put out a statement moments ago about the result of today that says the Pac-12 is strongly in favor of CFP expansion, and we support all of the 6 most discussed models.
Pick a side.
There are, well, what they're saying is, hey, we support them all. We'll vote for anything.
We don't really care. We just want to do it.
Just make it up. And at the end of their statement, they say, it is clear that none of the 6 most discussed expansion models has unanimous consent, with most having considerable opposition. And every conference other than the Pac-12 has indicated that they would be against at least one of the proposed models. So the Pac-12 is here going, hey, just give me whatever you want. We don't care. Just tell us when and tell us where. But everybody else is playing hard to get.
Well, and did you see so Greg Sankey, this is reading from a Stuart Mandel tweet. You had the quote about the 9 overtime, but he said that they spoke with reporters that his conference is the only one that's made every college football playoff, yet supports giving more access to others. Frustrating that others would benefit from the expanded playoff, that they're holding it up. To which Dan Wetzel said, Sankey is correct. The 14 playoff will continue to strengthen his league by making others less and less relevant. That the other conferences can't get out of their own way and help themselves in the sport is ridiculous. And I saw another tweet a little bit earlier that essentially said something like, it's really what we're describing, how everybody's looking out for themselves and they're not looking out for the well-being of the sport as a whole. But the crazy part is about that is by looking out for themselves, they're also hurting themselves. I think it's pretty obvious by this point in time that the 14 playoff has strengthened the SEC. And I am of the assumption, and I will make the argument, and I will continue to do so, that expanding it is going to be good for the other leagues. And that's not to say that there aren't issues and there won't be problems. And will Alabama continue to win? Will Georgia continue to win? Of course, because that's where the talent is. The talent's down in the South, and those schools care more than any other conference about winning. But it's mind-numbing to me that they're leaving all this money on the table and that it's over just the smallest, and I guess I'm going to describe them as small, the smallest minute details. The thing that I can't get past, John, at times is the debate between the 2 models. One of them is the top 6 conference automatically qualify versus another model where the Power 5 qualify plus the best group of 5 team. For the most part, those are the same things as we've run through every year except for one in the college football playoff era. It would result in the exact same 6 teams getting it. And the one year it wouldn't was 2020, which was weird for a variety of reasons. So it's like that is a discussion point. It's frustrating as somebody who loves the sport. And, I didn't get a chance to ask this of Jack. I wanted to a little bit earlier. Maybe I can just do so next week. But there's a part of me that does want to know, the college football postseason, I think that a lot of us are in agreement that it sucks. It's so much less enjoyable than the regular season. But in the end, it's almost like, is that actually a deal breaker for the sport? Because I know, as frustrated as I am, once the SEC or the Big Ten championship game ends, the next month in the lead up to the playoff, I watch games, but I definitely am not paying attention like I do during the regular season. but then the sport disappears, and by the time August rolls around, I'm right back to it. Like, I know that I'm going to be there next season, and so it's just funny that, it's like the joke that we've made about Popeyes a few times. The product is so good. The regular season college football product is so good, but sometimes the service is just atrocious. And I'm like, man, why do I love you so much? And then I'm like, oh, that's right, because I love your product. I just don't like all the other crap that comes with it.
Because you have so many differing parties from so many different backgrounds, all the conferences in FBS football are represented. Notre Dame is represented. There have to be people behind the scenes pulling strings to lead to so much opposition. I mean, the fact that we have 6 models that we're still arguing over. When the recommendation came down a few months ago, that was 1. And we went from 1 and blew it back up to 6. And of course, a lot of that was couched under we don't trust Greg Sankey because, while this was all going on, he was, sneaking behind our backs and stealing Texas and Oklahoma away from the Big 12 conference. Fine. If you still want to be butthurt about that, great. But the fact now that we're all of a sudden going to go, and because of that, we're going to splinter into 6 different groups instead of 1 or 2. I mean, it was a 12-team model what came out of the recommendation, a 12-team model.
Yeah.
And yet now we have 6 different models. Basically, it's the 12-team and the 8-team with the same qualifications. One is just whoever the 12 best are, let them in. Another one is the automatic qualifications for the 6 top-ranked conference champions. And the third one is, let's do the Power 5 champs plus 1 Group of 5 champ. And then for the 8-team, it's literally the same formula, but you're just chopping it down by 2 more teams. There's got to be people, and I guarantee you, the Rose Bowl is behind the scenes pulling strings.
Yep.
Some of these other bowl games are behind the scenes pulling strings.
Yep.
And there are other people out there who are just saying, oh, no, we can't do it this way. But we can't figure out who these folks are yet. That we have come to this point where it seemed like in July, everybody was marching towards the same thing. And then one thing happens, and I'm not dismissing the importance of the Texas and Oklahoma deal, but you're telling me that is going to blow up more access, a conference getting stronger, which I mean, it's already been a conference that has dominated the playoff era in the 4-team era. Are people genuinely concerned that half of a 12-team field is going to end up SEC?
And that's props to George Kliavkoff. Props to Kliavkoff, because he recognizes that the longer that this thing stays at 4, the more relevance his league has. And that blows my mind that other leagues don't see the same thing, that this is only strengthening the SEC. And I would say that it's kind of strengthened the Big Ten too. But man, I mean, the Big Ten in this year would have had multiple teams in the playoff. The Big Ten in all the years would have multiple teams in a 12-team playoff. It's asinine to me. It's asinine to me that they're like okay with this, that they're listening to the words that a lot of fans are saying about frustration and about not wanting to watch tonight's game. John, can you imagine that if like the Super Bowl rolled around and a large swath of the NFL was like, I don't want to watch because of, insert grudge here. The NFL would be doing anything in its power to fix it. Oh, hey, we're below 100 million viewers. How can we get you back, viewers? We need you for our product. That's what the NFL is always dying to get. And college football now is okay with this. It's okay with ignoring large swaths of the country. Props to Kliavkoff for recognizing it, man, because this sucks for that part of the country. I love Pac-12 football. I've always loved Pac-12 football. Part of it's because it's on late and I want to watch something, but I've always loved that side of the country and this different styles that they played with, especially when I was growing up. I don't want to see them become irrelevant. It's not good for college football. If Washington, if Oregon, if USC, if all these schools are irrelevant throughout much of the season, it's not good. It's not good for all of us as college football fans.
Well, I knew this was going to happen. We blew past the NFL predictions. We'll get to them next hour, I promise. But we got a happy hour to get to coming up next, which includes a preview of tonight's all-SEC championship game in a 4-team playoff. I mean, can you imagine how many times people would have lost their crap when they announced the 4-team playoff? That twice within what,
8
4 years.
Oh, yeah, in the last 4, yeah.
Twice within the last 4 years, the same conference has dominated the championship game, that they have monopolized the championship game. If you would have told folks back when they would have said, no, that's not going to happen. Well, guess what? It's happening for the second time in 4 years. And it's the same two schools.
And same two schools.
A preview of Georgia and Alabama and more. The happy hour is coming up next here on Sportsmanlike Conduct in 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. A couple spots to avoid. A heads up of a stall that has traffic blocked on southbound 72nd at Bedford Ave. A crash with injuries out on 192nd and F Street is slowing southbound commuters down. Also getting reports of a crash on northbound 84th around the interstate. And then a stall has the right lane blocked, right shoulder blocked at the eastbound I-80, westbound I-80 split over in Council Bluffs. I'm Mike Neville. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $855 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Listen to Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Overtime, the Creighton men's basketball postgame show on 1620 The Zone, and live from the downtown Addie Sports Bar and Grill on 10th Street right after every home game, exclusively on your home for Creighton Blue Jays, 1620 The Zone.
For Creighton sports news, tune into Blue Jay Banter every Monday night at 6. And if 1 hour isn't enough for your Blue Jay fix, check out BlueJayBanter.com. Get up-to-the-minute recruiting news, commentary, and chat with other Blue Jay fans. That's Blue Jay Banter, Monday night at 6 on 1620 The Zone.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
It'd be nice to have a pro
throw.
It would be nice to have a pro
throw.
It would be nice to have a pro
throw.
It would be nice to have a pro
throw.
It would be nice to have a pro
throw.
It would be nice to have a pro
throw.
It would be nice to have a pro
throw.
It would be nice to have a pro
throw
from your mom.
Well, my team backed their way into a division title, so I'm not feeling it today.
The happy hour is on the air!
Yep, it is the happy hour on this Monday, National Championship Monday, here on 1620 The Zone. If you've been wondering, no, Nick is not here because Brian Flores got fired and he couldn't take it and had to leave. No, he had this week already planned to be off. Hopefully he didn't plan it going down to, be with his buddy Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins, because that would have been an awkward little vacation.
That would have been a bummer for him.
Yeah, big bummer. But welcome everyone to the happy hour on this Monday. John, Josh, and Chance today. And if you're watching along on the stream, hello, everybody. We're video streaming today on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Always like having you along for your viewing experience. I did want to at least start a happy hour with something mildly funny. So this was from the Eagles Cowboys game the other night.
What a Dallas victory!
Not only was Philadelphia getting trashed on the field, they were getting trashed. Has more fight than I thought they did.
Man, that was quite the butt whooping. Go Cowboys!
It was quite the butt whooping, though. No respect at all for classic Randall Cunningham uniform. But either way, congratulations. Cowboys won on the field and they won in the stands apparently as well.
Also, a game that I thought was kind of meaningless. Like I always want to beat Philadelphia, but I thought was kind of meaningless, and then it ended up mattering immensely, given what happened yesterday afternoon.
Yes, because now you get to play Frisco.
Oh, they'll be just fine. They'll be just fine. They're going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
It'll be fine. San Francisco's not spoiled our party before.
They haven't. It's been a long time.
Dwight Clark.
When I was -7 years old, who cares? Who cares about Dwight Clark? It's time to live in the here and now. Dalton Schultz.
If you squint really hard, you could see Deebo Samuel catching the same kind of pass, though. Nah. You'd have to squint like super hard to see anything resembling Joe Montana in Jimmy Garoppolo.
You talking about like a late touchdown from Deebo Samuel? And San Fran is going to cover the 3, but they'll still lose because they were down by 9. Is that what you're talking about? Something like that? That sounds good to me.
No, I'm not talking about that at all.
Sounds good to me.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. We talk about, San Francisco and, something that Michael Strahan said yesterday on the run-up before the game ended up being very true. And that is, before yesterday, the Niners had won 5 straight against the Rams. And he said at some point in this game, there's going to be that moment where that doubt creeps back in, where it's like, oh, we're back to this moment again. And can the Rams push through? And for a while, at least at the end of the game, near the end of the game, it almost looked like they did push through. But in a lot of ways, that's the exact same thing that Kirby Smart and Georgia face tonight.
Yeah.
When you look back at the history of this series, and this is going back as far as Mark Richt in 2012, when Georgia was at the 5-yard line.
They find themselves in close situations. They find themselves leading in this series, and they're never able to get it done. That's been the biggest story about Georgia versus Alabama, especially over the last decade.
Consider this. Of the last 4 meetings, 240 minutes of football, when you count overtime as well, Georgia has been ahead or tied for 171 of those 240 minutes. That's what, about 70%?
Well, I was going to say it's close to 3/4 of the time.
Nearly 3/4 of the time, Georgia's either tied or ahead. In 2017, Georgia was up 13-0 at halftime. They were up 20-7 in the third quarter. And then, of course, Alabama goes on the run. They go to overtime. And then they get the sack. They have the lead. They get the sack. And on the next play, Tua throws the touchdown, ball game. The very next year, Georgia's up 21-7 in the first half, 28-14 in the third quarter. But guess who scored the last 21 points?
Yeah, exactly.
2020, Georgia was up by 7 in the first half. They were up by 4 with 19 minutes to go. And then Alabama scored the last 24 points. And then this year, I remember when Georgia got up 10-0 in the SEC title game, I thought, oh, maybe that Bama pick wasn't so good after all. And what happened? Well, Alabama got it to even at the end of the first half, then took the lead and scored 24 of the final 31 points. The first half point totals in those 4 games I just outlined, 17, 18, 20, and 21. Georgia has outscored Alabama 75-58 in the first half. But in the second half, Alabama has outscored Georgia 79-21. To say that Alabama is in their heads is not an unfair thing, just as it wasn't unfair to say the 49ers were in the Rams' heads.
Sure.
And at some point, you have to push through that because there will be a moment of resistance where it's like you're going to flash back and you're going to remember back to early December. Or you remember to last year. For the older players, they might remember 2-3 years ago. Certainly Kirby Smart will have a long memory.
Yeah.
But at some point, they're going to have to push through because there's going to be that feeling of, we've seen this, to use a Scott Frostism. We've seen this movie before.
Yeah, the further your team gets in a season, in any sport, I think that you start taking the leads not more for granted, but you get a little more wary. Like, oh, cool, they're up by 10. There's a lot of time left. Week 1, it's not that big of a deal, but by the time you get net to now, and it's going to be like this in the NFL playoffs. Oh, hey, Dallas is up 10-0 on Sunday. There's way too much time left. I'm not going to count my blessings at all. Well, it's magnified by, I don't know, a very large number, not only, John, with Georgia Bulldog fans, but with Georgia sports fans, given what they have seen. I know that Atlanta won the World Series last year, but I know what happened with the Falcons in the Super Bowl. I know what has happened with the Bulldogs. I know what's happened with the Braves in previous iterations of the World Series. Like, this is a part of the country. This is a fan base that does not take these leads as like the end all be all. And so you're right that there is going to be a moment tonight that could represent perhaps the end. Like, oh my gosh, they're finally going to do it. But, I can't imagine a whole lot of Georgia fans are going to feel confident that things are going to end in their favor until the clock has truly hit zero, given how some of those games have gone. And I mean, they've lost in some pretty excruciating ways, especially the 2017 and 2018 games. Oh, man. I mean, 2017, they're dominating. Bama has to go to their backup quarterback. They're still dominating. They get the sack, like you mentioned, to begin overtime, and then he completes a pass to a future Heisman Trophy winner in Devontae Smith, and they walk it off. The next year, I would make the argument, John, that the next year, Georgia dominated even more. They dominated even more. Tua's not in the game. Jalen Hurts is in the game, and he leads them on the comeback. And, of course, in the midst of all that, there's the horrific fake punt with Justin Fields. And, they end up losing that game. And then, okay, so that's all just like program versus program. Then on top of that, you think about, mentor versus mentee. You think about Kirby Smart and like the question that a lot of us have, and I consider myself kind of a part of the club that has been doubting Kirby Smart throughout, his entire time. But I look at him and I say, is he just maybe a slightly richer Mark Richt? Where he recruits definitely better. I think he has built a better program. And yet, through, the same amount of time, the results are kind of eerily similar. Now, Mark Richt never got Georgia to a national championship game. This is the second time that Kirby Smart has done so. But I can't help but think about that. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I liked Georgia going into that game versus Bama a month ago. And like you said, when it was 10-0, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. They're going to win going away. Bama's not going to make the playoff. Time for a new order. Georgia can become the team now that I hate the most. And Alabama did what they did. I've said it. I mean, we've been, when we talk about FanDuel and tonight's game, promo code 1620, I'm going with Georgia. I still like Georgia in this game. But I know that I will have a moment like that if Georgia's up 10-0 or 14-0, whatever it is, 17-0, like the Rams were yesterday. I'm going to have that moment of, yeah, okay, but let's see what happens when it gets into the second half. Let's see what happens, when it's time. Can Stetson Bennett make a couple extra plays that Bryce Young can't?
And there's the guy.
Yeah, and that's what it's ultimately going to come down to. Like, I think that, Georgia is loaded with talent, but they do not have the quarterback edge. And that's the one part where I'm just like, how big of an idiot am I going to look like tomorrow when Stetson Bennett is the reason that Georgia didn't win the championship?
Well, Stetson Bennett he's going to be the embodiment of whether or not Georgia actually gets this done. These were numbers provided by Bill Conley, friend of the program, who joined us on Friday from ESPN.com. Last 2 years, Stetson Bennett is 6th overall in QBR, ESPN's QBR, when Georgia is playing from ahead. But when they are tied or behind, only 71st. And when it's tied or behind after halftime, Stetson Bennett in raw QBR is 139th out of 152 ranked quarterbacks when Georgia is tied or behind at halftime.
Now, real quick, to be fair, that's like what, a few games in his career?
It's a few games, but it's still pretty telling when you consider
it's a small sample size, but man, the numbers are bad.
That, overall this season, he completed 61% of his passes. He had 15 yards per completion and a 3% interception rate. But when behind or tied after halftime, his completion percentage is 49%. And his interception rate triples, goes from 3% to 9%. Stetson Bennett will be the embodiment. He will be the face of whether or not Georgia gets this done tonight. Yep. And if he can't, chances are it's because he's reverted back to these types of things. Good front runner, but not so much playing from behind.
And you know what, John, too? It's like, sorry to interrupt, but he is also that kind of representation of the Kirby Smart era, because Kirby Smart has built a dominant program top to bottom, except for one spot. And I mentioned the fake punt from 2017, or 2018 rather, but that was a team that had Justin Fields on their roster. Justin Fields, and he couldn't win the starting job for whatever reason. And if that was the case then, if Kirby had such a blind spot that he put him in, and look, Stetson Bennett, it's a really cool story, but there are, at least on paper, and I think JT Daniels is better, there are more talented guys that are behind him. And so if they are unable to get it done again, meanwhile, Alabama built, how Georgia's built now, that's how Bama was built when they were winning titles a decade ago. And that's this dichotomy of this game. Bama has embraced change. Alabama has embraced the new college football. And that's one of the most impressive things about Nick Saban is how he adapts. He was winning championships with quarterbacks like a Stetson Bennett, and then he ended up winning championships with the best quarterbacks in the country, guys that are going to go into the NFL and be first-round draft picks. And so if Georgia loses again and Stetson Bennett is the problem again, man, it puts a lot on Kirby as a program builder and maybe as a quarterback evaluator too.
One of the players that's going to be the most fun to watch, because he arguably is Will Anderson for Alabama. He is having the kind of year that you dream of. 33 and a half tackles for loss. And I know Alabama's played 2 more games than a lot of other college football teams. They played a conference championship and a national semifinal. But he's got 11 and a half more tackles for loss than anybody else in FBS as an outside linebacker.
Incredible.
I mean, arguably, this was the guy that very few people gave any attention to when it came to Heisman hype. But if there was ever a guy who could probably make an argument for a defensive player to win the Heisman, it's what Will Anderson has done. He has been by far the most disruptive player in the country. And then you consider defense. And remember, even though Alabama, as you mentioned a minute ago, they've embraced the new style of college football. They've embraced more up-tempo. They've embraced, winning these offensive types of games. But defense has been getting it done again. Fladarian Mathis, defensive end, in the last 3 games has 3.5 sacks. 3.5 sacks in the past 3 games, considering he had 9 the entire season. So he's come up with a third of his sacks here in the 3 games that have mattered the most: the Auburn Iron Bowl, the SEC Championship, and the college semifinal, the national championship semifinal. I think tonight, if Alabama wins, and that's why I picked the under tonight when we did predictions last week, I think it's going to be on defense. I think this may be, I know last year certainly there was a lot of offense. A couple of years ago, Clemson and Alabama, it was just a track meet back and forth, and we thought, well, this is the way it's going to be forever. Tonight, I think, win or lose, Georgia or Alabama, I think this is going to end up being more of a slugfest, especially than the SEC championship game. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't know. I just get that feeling that tonight that this is going to be more of a defensive game than the first matchup.
Well, really go back to
time. And I know that, you haven't necessarily looked ahead. Obviously, Alabama was preparing for Cincinnati. Georgia was preparing for Michigan. but you've had a couple of extra days to prepare for this game. And usually the more time you get, the better it is for your defense to have a game plan ready. Plus, these two teams have film on each other. They've played 4 times in the last 5 years, and they just played a month ago.
Yeah, it's interesting because the 2017 national title, I don't know if it ended up hitting the over, but I'm guessing without overtime, it would have hit the under. 2018, that was, 35-28. There were a lot of points. And then really the last 2 years, especially, it's been a ton of points between these two teams. So you do wonder if this game, if the defense can start getting the best of the offenses.
I see Banks isn't wanting to.
He's back out ready to play, apparently.
Yeah, I guess so. Be curious to see how much Georgia blitzes tonight too, because that was something. And Sip mentioned that earlier. We a lot of people thought going into the SEC championship game, because Alabama could not protect Bryce Young against Auburn, that, I mean, gosh, if they can't protect against Auburn, what is Georgia going to do? And yet they didn't get to Bryce Young once. That's probably the biggest story of that SEC title game beyond just the final score, was that Bryce Young basically worked without much adversity. He was very comfortable, but a lot of it was Georgia stopped blitzing.
Yeah,
for a good portion of that game, and I'll be curious to see if they go back to that tonight. If they try to take the game more to Alabama and say, okay, fine, let's see about that banged up line like Sipple talked about. Let's see if you can make your running game work and take us out of these blitz schemes. Good luck with that.
Yeah, and one of the things that I also wonder about in this matchup, because I heard somebody bring it up over the weekend, was going into that SEC title game, Bama knew that they had to win, or their season, I mean, they would have a bowl game, but their season, for all intents and purposes, was done. Georgia knew that they were in. That's not to say that Georgia approached that hoping to lose, but I mean, it can mess with you, right? If one team is truly back up against the wall and the other is not, how does that change your focus? And I think what you just said there about getting pressure, like what did they do or what didn't they do, Georgia that is, in the first matchup, that maybe Kirby Smart looked at it and he said, why was that the way that we were executing? Why was that the game plan that we had? And maybe how they can, find some ways to improve this time around.
Alabama and Georgia. We've already given our picks. I like Alabama in the under. I believe you took Georgia in the under in this one. The total is at 52.
Man, that's low. I kind of want to switch and say the over now.
I think it's going to be a defensive struggle tonight.
I mean, 28-24 is a push. So anything above that, and you're pretty easily in over territory. I think I'm going to lean. I'm going to change. No, we don't have to change it for predictions, but I think I'm going to go over now. But I do like Georgia.
52.5 is still the total. FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code 1620. Sportsbook.fanduel.com. Georgia by 2.5. By 2.5. Interesting that line has dropped below that magic 3. Especially if this game goes into overtime. I think it shows you that there's some confidence there with the Tide. People are remembering the first matchup going, yeah, old Nick Saban made us look like a fool last time. I ain't falling for this again.
I know. I said after that game, if they rematch, I'm not picking against Bama, and yet here I am, like a moron, putting on my clown costume, picking.
How much Alabama. Of that is your heart talking that you want this to happen?
See, that's the thing, though. It's not like I like Georgia. I just want to be right. That's what I'm picking, because I want to be right, and I think Georgia.
You want to be right. Why aren't you picking the inevitable? Why aren't you picking Nick Saban?
Alabama was the worst team this season, all year long, except for that one day in December. Bama was the worst team. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't protect their. I watched the Iron Bowl. I watched the LSU game. They looked like crap against average teams. Meanwhile, Georgia boat raced everybody. And I mean, look, once again, I could end up being way wrong, but all year long, I thought that Georgia was better. And so I'm just going to stick with that. That said, Alabama has the much better coach and the much better quarterback. So, I mean, those two things can win you a lot in football. Better coach, better quarterback.
Well, coming up, it was a Black Monday. Got over with rather quickly, but it didn't end with at least one surprise. It did end with at least one surprise. That we'll look back at our NFL predictions, just how bad were we before the season started? And is Jim Harbaugh going to make a comeback to the NFL? That, and we have unsportsmanlike content. Chance is in today for Nick with some unsportsmanlike content.
Ooh.
So all of that and our bet of the day straight ahead. It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Expect clear skies throughout the late evening and overnight as temperatures continue to cool into the lower 20s. Patchy fog will be possible around daybreak early Tuesday. By the afternoon, a high of 50 degrees under clear skies. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. Heads up, a stall still has the right lane, right shoulder blocked over in Council Bluffs at the westbound I-80, northbound I-29 split. Also looks like a stall is causing delays on eastbound Q Street at 138th with the right shoulder blocked there. And then delays on Industrial Road around 144th and slow going on L Street for both directions right around the JFK. I'm Mike Neville. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Nebraska Loves Public Schools.
The annual I Love Public Schools Day holiday returns on January 19th. Join communities across Nebraska in celebration of our public schools. Discover ways to get involved at iloveps.org.
42 Degrees wants to start the year off right with these bargains. Let's start with the largest selection of glass and silicone pipes starting at $9.99. Maybe it's a new vaporizer from $24.99. Looking for a CBD that works? Then come to the source. 42 Degrees. Talk with our professional and knowledgeable staff and see what 42 Degrees can do for you. With multiple stores, lots of inventory, and friendly service, you owe it to yourself to check us out. Buy your mom's house.
The end of riding season is never a good time, but it is a great time to trade in and trade up or sell it outright. Les Hills Harley-Davidson is selling, trading, and buying bikes right now. Sell your Harley-Davidson today. Les Hills Harley-Davidson. Rise up and ride on.
The Auto Show is back in Omaha, and it's more fun than ever. The newest cars, trucks, and SUVs are all in one place to see. January 21st through the 23rd at the CHI Health Center. Get a look at the Chevy Silverado, Ram 1500, Ford Raptor, and Toyota Tundra. See the super fast Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat. Test your skill with NASCAR remote control cars. Racers can steer and shift around a bank speedway. It's fun for the whole family. You'll see rare private collection cars worth millions and try to guess the crushed car. Learn how easy it is to go electric with OPPD and see some of the newest electric cars like the Kia Niro and the Ford Mach-E. You can find a new friend at the Subaru Pet Adoption. So get out and go to the Auto Show, January 21st to the 23rd at the CHI Health Center. Find out more at OmahaAutoShow.com.
You needed 6 inches. This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone.
No bad news for Georgia. Nick Saban made it to the stadium, so showed him walking across the field there in Indianapolis. What is the official kickoff time tonight? Is it
probably like 7:15 or something like that?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully hold off just long enough so I can get into the house and I don't miss anything tonight.
Yeah.
Because I will be watching, unlike Jack Mitchell, who's has to be reminded that the college national championship game is on. So back on September the 9th, 9, we made our picks for the NFL season. We picked all of the divisions and we picked the playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. I correctly picked 6 of the 8 division winners.
Same.
6 of the 8. I'm guessing we had the exact same.
Yeah, Cowboys, Packers, Bucks in the NFC for me. And then
oh, that's right. You went against the Rams, you idiot.
Yeah, and then Bills, Titans, Chiefs in the AFC. I got those ones right. So I had
the Rams. I did not have the Titans.
Who did you not have in the NFC?
NFC, I had I swept the NFC.
So did you get 2 out of 4 in the AFC?
And then 2 out of the 4 in the AFC.
Okay.
I had Bills and Chiefs. I missed on the Colt. I missed on the Titans. I picked the Colts. and I missed on the Browns. I didn't pick the Bengals. I missed on Cleveland.
Yeah, I picked Cleveland, so that was the loser, and then I picked the 49ers, so that was a loser. Overall, I went 10 out of 14. I had 10 playoff teams correct. The ones that I got wrong, I had the Seahawks as a wild card team. I had the Falcons as a wild card team. I had the Chargers as a wild card team, which I almost got, and I had the Browns as the division winner, and so they didn't even make the playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yeah.
I had 8 playoff teams, if I'm counting this right.
Oh,
yes.
wow. So you went really good in the division, but you were bad at the wild card.
I wouldn't say bad. I mean, Ravens and Browns and Chargers and Colts were all close.
They were in the mix.
Use a Scott Frostism. The team I really messed up on, well, I'm really in 2 teams I really messed up on. I did have 2 teams from the FCS East getting into the NFC playoffs.
Horrible joke.
But it's true.
Hey, they got 2 playoff teams. What do you want from us? We're a tough division, man.
Yeah. I had Washington get into the playoffs instead of Philadelphia.
Yeah. I had the Eagles in last place.
Like you had Seattle getting in.
Yeah.
And we both missed on the Cardinals. Getting in, though the Cardinals, the way they played down the stretch, were more like the team I picked to finish fourth. Both of my conference championships are still alive. My Super Bowl is still alive, though I am not feeling good about a little bit better about the AFC than I am the NFC. I had Chiefs over Bills in the AFC Championship game. I had Rams over Bucks in the NFC Championship game, with the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl over the Rams.
I had Rams over 49ers. Please, God, help me be wrong on that one. And then I had Bills over Chiefs in the NFC, or in the AFC, excuse me. I had Bills over Rams for the Super Bowl. So I still have all those teams remaining. Some good, some real, like, okay, I'm trying to find some like really, really bad. So I had the Raiders in last place. I had the Raiders and Cardinals both in last place, of course, and the Eagles. And all those teams ended up going to the playoffs. I had the Bengals. Jeez. So I had 4 playoff teams picked to finish in last place in their division. I was really proud of that Eagles pick for a while earlier this year because they got off to such a bad start, but then they turned it on.
I really thought, like, I'm just trying to put myself into the mindset of where I was when we made these picks. And I remember, I can remember saying, man, I just don't know who I like in the NFC North, because this was peak, Brett Favre being, or not Brett Favre, wow, Aaron Rodgers being flaky and not knowing what he's going to do. And now you talk about a story that has totally changed. I mean, would it surprise you? I think it would surprise a lot of folks more if Aaron Rodgers wasn't back with the Green Bay Packers next year. It seems like that story has, for as much oxygen as it sucked up out of the room, last summer, for this to now almost, it's not completely done deal, but it almost seems like a foregone conclusion that if Aaron Rodgers is playing football next year, he's playing it in Green Bay.
It's funny, man. Like the last few years, we have looked for reasons, really in the post Mike McCarthy era, we've looked for reasons that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are going to drop off. And yet they have won 13 games, and 13 games. Like they have become, really they've become what Tom Brady is, a sure thing. With Aaron Rodgers, they are a sure thing. If you look at his career, there are seasons where they drop off, in terms of wins, and they've missed the playoffs. Most of the time, if I'm remembering all those years right, it's because of injuries. It's not because they just suck. Like that last Mike McCarthy year, they were bad. But otherwise, most of the time, the reason they missed the playoffs is because of injuries. And now he's going to win another MVP, and they're the 1 seed. And the funny thing about them, though, and here's me talking myself into Dallas again. They are a team that's like built for a dome or for warm weather, and now they got to play at Lambeau perhaps 2 times. And so I think that's they're not built all the time like as good of a passing team as they are. They're built for some of that early season success. Trying to talk myself into it.
Yeah. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
I was surprised that I had the Steelers in the playoffs. For some reason, I could not remember that. I had the Steelers and the Patriots in the playoffs.
I actually did not have New England in this year.
I thought you almost picked
nobody expected the Steelers to be in. Well, I shouldn't say
except for me.
You literally did, but especially after the way the season started.
I know.
You talk about a team that is just ugly. You know what? Yeah. I'm not saying this is going to happen, so Chiefs fans do not come at me.
Oh, don't worry. Chiefs are going to roll.
But this team kind of feels like the Tebow Broncos team. You know, they got into the playoffs. They had no business being there. They were not that good a football team, but they managed to get there despite, you know, some of their ineptitude at quarterback.
Did you just compare this version of Ben Roethlisberger to Tim Tebow? Because that's hysterical.
It's not out of bounds. It pains me to watch him sometimes.
Dude,
and I know he made some big throws. He's a huge fourth down throw in overtime. Gutsy decision there by Mike Tomlin to go for it in that spot. He knew he needed to do it. But it's just like, do you trust him to continue? Do you trust him to be able to air it out? Because you're gonna have to play catch up with Kansas City. You got to keep up with the Chiefs.
Yeah, not to mention we just
saw
saw
what
this
happened a few weeks ago.
I was gonna say
one of the worst games of the year.
And we've seen this before. We've seen it before. Like the game that I always think of is there was this Patriots-Jets game in the regular season in 2010 where the Patriots it was a murder. I think it was on Monday Night Football. They just bludgeoned them. And then that was the divisional game in the playoffs and the Jets won, and that was the can't wait game afterwards. They can't stop a nosebleed. Like that, I guess that could happen because it's a football game and anything can happen. I would be stunned though if the Steelers were to perform at that type of a level. You know, Ben Roethlisberger is averaging like 4 yards a pass right now. I mean, it's like Nebraska's inept run game.
I asked a question earlier today on our JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Today, Bears fans, you got your wish. No more front. I mean, the whole front office.
Everyone's gone.
Everyone's gone now.
Yeah.
Vikings fans, you got your wish.
Yeah. Congratulations.
So congratulations. And they represent two of the healthier fan bases in this area.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked you the question. It's kind of it's one poll, but it's really kind of two separate polls in one. But I asked earlier today, your teams are both looking for new head coaches. Would either of you fan bases like your franchise to place a call to Ann Arbor for Mr. Jim Harbaugh? Bears fans are a little more bullish on Harbaugh. In fact, a lot more bullish on Harbaugh than Vikings fans. Of the Vikings fans who responded, only 13% said, yes, we would love to have Jim Harbaugh get a call, versus 30% of Vikings fans saying no. Now, remember, this is all in one answer. But Bears fans who say yes, 37%. Bears fan who says no, 20%. So Bear fan, not surprising because Harbaugh's got a history in Chicago. He played there for a while. And I think right now the Bears are looking for anything that resembles something that's relatively competent. And one thing you can say about a Jim Harbaugh coach team, for all the drama that you sometimes get,
you win.
They win.
Yeah.
They win, and they look like they're competently coached. That never looked like the case, especially this last year.
I don't know why they wouldn't want him. I know that I'm a Harbaugh homer, but I mean, the guy has had success at like literally every stop he's been at. You know, every level of football he's ever coached, he's had success. More success than Matt Nagy ever had. More success than Mike Zimmer ever had. He went to more conference championship games. He went to a Super Bowl. Zimmer never went to a Super Bowl.
I wonder what Viking fan is looking for. I look forward to talking to Shafe this week.
Offense. They want offense that resembles this century.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little bit more than, you know, who's calling the plays and who's running the show.
Mm-hmm.
Might require a different quarterback if you want to do that. But yeah, I'll be curious to see who both teams get. But we were just talking a moment ago about Aaron Rodgers. Can you imagine how this division would look so different next year
if he's gone? Well, and it makes the Denver job all the more interesting as well. You know.
Well, yeah, and that we failed to mention that he was actually the first coach to go.
Yeah,
and that happened early Sunday. Vic Fangio was let go, which I know Stibbs is thrilled about. My friend Chad, he's thrilled about it. But which way Denver goes in this conversation, and then I'm trying to figure out, and I know the stories have come out that there was front office dispute between Brian Flores and his GM. But I was really surprised that the Dolphins let Brian Flores go.
Dude, unreal move. Brian Flores, remember, so he was only there for 3 years. You remember that first year? That was the team at the beginning of the season. Like, they were one of the worst teams that I've ever watched. They lost that opener 59-10. In week 2, they lost 43-0 to the Dolphins. And then by the end of the season, they finished 5-11. And that was the team that upset New England the last week, which allowed for the Chiefs to get home field advantage and go to the Super Bowl. Last year, they went 10-6. And yeah, they laid a stink bomb in the finale against the Bills when the Bills like benched everybody. But this year they go 9-8. Like no offense. And not to say like, lower your expectations, but come on, you're the Dolphins. With how you played lately, and that's not good enough for you, yeah, it has to go beyond. Obviously, it has to go beyond wins and losses. Has to be about relationships, maybe about personnel decisions, about what he wanted versus what they wanted. But that was a stunner. Every piece of news this morning that came by the wire, it was like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. This was the one. I mean, I had to like stop myself. That and just the Giants continuing to. I don't know, want Joe Judge to be their head coach, which is just also hysterical and very much appreciated by yours truly.
I'm sure it is. Does Harbaugh come back
to Michigan?
No. Well, yeah. Or does he go to the NFL?
If I had to bet on it, I'd probably say Michigan. He probably goes back to Michigan. I kind of hope I'm wrong, though, just because it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting for the NFL and it'd be interesting for the Big Ten.
It'd be interesting for the NFL. I don't think that would be good for the Big Ten. I mean, we finally got the breakthrough. We finally got the yin to Ohio State's yang after all this time. And then for him to depart, I remember, having this conversation when he was hired at Michigan. I said, this is going to be good for college football. It's going to be good for the Big Ten Conference. I have not changed my tune. In fact, I would strengthen that tune just based on what they did this year. He's always going to be an interesting story no matter where he goes. But I think for my personal belief, my feeling, he is better off in college football. We need him in college football more than we need him in the NFL. No matter what happens, the NFL is going to be the NFL, as we saw yesterday. Crazy, wild stuff happens. But I think this conference needs Jim Harbaugh to stay at Michigan, especially now that they have won it, that they're in the playoff. And yeah, I know they got spanked by Georgia, but you've got to have another team to offset the just utter dominance of Ohio State. Somebody else has to be out there. And sure, would we like it to be Nebraska? Of course we would be. But in the moment, we've got to have somebody else out there because the Big Ten was starting to feel kind of a lot like, Alabama in the national championship. You just figure out who's going to win every year, and Ohio State's always going to be there. Finally got Michigan, the rival, rise up and beat them and dominate them as they did. I hope for college football's sake and for the Big Ten's sake that Jim Harbaugh stays at Michigan.
Riley says, as a Dolphins fan, I can tell you that the problem with the Finns is the owner, Stephen Ross. The organization won't have success until he sells the team or kicks the bucket.
Well, that's the other thing too. And no, of the four openings that are out there, I think for the most part, Viking fans are okay with Ziggy Wilf. But the Broncos are still going through their ownership, turmoil after the passing of Pat Bowlen. You just mentioned what the Dolphins and the McCaskies in Chicago, people are so tired of them.
Yeah.
Because they have given them nonstop meh for the better part of the last 30 years.
I was going to say, my whole life, essentially.
So 3 of those 4 situations, look at the owner, look at the ownership and the mistrust that is there by the fans. And those are the folks who are going to ultimately be in charge of hiring the GMs, or in the case of Miami, they've already got their GM, but those are the people that are going to be signing the checks for these new coaches to come in. And man, of those situations, Miami still has the draft capital.
They have a lot of draft capital.
Denver's going to have some draft capital with the trade of Von Miller, and I think they've got some good pieces to build around. And obviously they're going to be in the market for a franchise quarterback. I think I would lean. I might lean Miami slightly over Denver, but it's neck and neck between those two. Then the Vikings, Bears are last on the list.
Yeah, you have some situations that, look, Vikings, Dolphins, they were on the doorstep of the playoffs this year. And if the Broncos don't melt down at the end of the season, maybe they were in the mix too. So you're going into some spots. That's why I think the Dolphins, such a good situation, though, just given the draft capital they have, Maybe you fix Tua a little bit because he has seemed broken at times. He's just, is he just Mac Jones with a worse head coach or a worse franchise? Both guys kind of game managers. It's interesting.
And Shane brings up the Raiders. I do wonder if the Raiders are gonna make a move. I mean, Bisaccia, he took a bad situation. He got the Raiders into the playoffs.
Hey, winnable game. What happens if they win this weekend? Suddenly they're in the divisional round. With all the turmoil that they had to deal with, a player on the roster got in a car accident and murdered. Like somebody died.
Right.
And then the head coach, all the crap with that. And then another guy got a DUI recently. And that team's in the playoffs, man. Like that, impressive.
That's that is. It is pretty impressive. They might be smart not to move on and just see if they can run it back with Rich Bisaccia. All right, coming up next, it's the segment formerly known as What You Say. It's Unsportsmanlike Content. And today we feature something crazy that Keyshawn Johnson Jr.'s dad said, and maybe one of the best defensive plays you've ever seen in an NBA game.
Of course.
And some people say they don't play defense.
Yes, some do say that, John.
Well, like they say, the blind squirrel finds the nut by morning. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
The NFL plays here on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs. We've never seen anything like it. Right now, more people than ever are making their New Year's resolution to focus on one of the most important things in their life, their health and fitness. Join Genesis today with no enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership and become part of the fitness movement with a few simple clicks at GenesisHealthClubs.com. Ask yourself, how would it feel to see those fitness results you've been dreaming of? You can do it at Genesis Health Clubs, I promise you that. We will work with you every step of the way. And right now, you can do it with no enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership. It only takes a few minutes to join, but it could change your life forever. No enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership won't last long. Hurry, just 5 days left. Make it your New Year's resolution. Be part of something big. Say yes to endorphins. Yes to being an active person. And yes to being the healthiest you've ever been. What's more important than your health? No enrollment fee on a month-to-month membership. 5 days left. Let's make this year your best. Join Genesis today at GenesisHealthClubs.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So I used the savings from switching to Progressive 30 years ago to buy tickets to the championship game. Between those two teams that didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm a big Alaska Palm Trees fan. Which is a team now in the future.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Introducing Venture X, Capital One's new travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Listen to Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Overtime, the Creighton men's basketball postgame show on 1620 The Zone, and live from the downtown Addie Sports Bar and Grill on 10th Street right after every home game, exclusively on your home for Creighton Blue Jays, 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
Look, I made you some
Unsportsmanlike.
Unsportsmanlike content.
Unsportsmanlike content. Content that's unsportsmanlike.
Welcome to Unsportsmanlike Content, where we cover the other issues of the day or revisit some of the ones from earlier in the program. Nick is gone this week. He's taking some much-needed time off. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's welcome in Chance, the producer. Ladies and gentlemen, Chance.
Hi, everyone. How's
Hey,
it
Chance.
going? You might remember me from such hits as After Hours and other things.
After Hours and other things.
And other things.
All right, let's get this rolling. Is the Chargers head coach Brandon Staley being unfairly criticized for the timeout at the end of the overtime in last night's NFL regular season finale?
The more I think about it, it's probably getting a little too much criticism. I'm not saying that I still don't doubt that the timeout was weird in that moment. I think the fourth down, going for it on 4th and 1 from your own 18-yard line in the third quarter was a worse decision than that one was. But what is not known yet is what the Raiders would have done. I mean, if the Raiders get that first down and are with, let's say they pick up the 4 yards, then the field goal would have been in the neighborhood of 51, 52 yards, which is certainly within the range. They still might have kicked the field goal. It was just the oddity of when the timeout came, considering that they had a chance to do it earlier, that still makes it funny. I question the decision. I don't think it was a good decision, but at the same time, I don't know if it necessarily would have changed what the Raiders did.
Yeah, the only criticism that maybe is fair is just for those of us who wanted to see what would have happened and if the game would have actually ended in a tie. Yeah, it's probably a little bit unfair. That said, the thing is, I think they were going to run the ball. They ended up running the ball. You got to stop the run. Like, maybe they were able to get those yards even if he doesn't call a timeout. So I'd say probably a bit much.
As we've discussed, today was Black Monday in the NFL, and we saw multiple coaches get fired. Which ones are you still scratching your head at?
I mean, I know that we spent the majority of last segment talking about it, but the Flores one is still just baffling to me, given the success that he had. That was the team that was tanking a couple of years ago. They won at the end of the season. Last year, they were a playoff contender. This year, they were a playoff contender. They were a dumpster fire not that long ago, and he made them respectable. And look, I know that I'm happy with the decision. I cannot believe that the Giants are actually going to run this back again with Joe Judge. This is a guy that's not only a loser, but it seems like he's lost the respect of everybody involved. The fans, they ran quarterback sneaks yesterday. The fans booing him. It's a toxic situation. If he returns, he will not make it through next season. So it's just like, why not rip the Band-Aid off immediately?
Yeah, I think that one is even more surprising than Brian Flores, because once you've lost the room, when you've lost the locker room, when you've lost the fan base, and sure, New York is a different animal than a lot of other markets, and it's easy to jump on, coaches and players and say, this guy's a bum, that guy's a bum, et cetera, et cetera. But when you've lost it to this degree and you looked this bad all season long, what was it? They had the one game against Kansas City when they were floundering.
Yes.
And the Giants actually looked like a competent football team.
Yeah, it was a close game.
The rest of the season, they looked awful. They just looked awful. And the fact that they're going to run it back, especially the way last night ended, unless he yesterday ended, unless he plans to just totally shell the entire locker room and start everything from scratch, I just don't know how anyone who's coming back next year for the Giants looks at this guy and says, man, that's my coach. That's my leader. That's my guy. That's the guy I'm going to battle with. I don't see it.
Today, the Bears and the Vikings made coaching changes. Meanwhile, the Packers are the number 1 seed in the NFC. Do you think the way this season has played out makes it more likely that Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay after this season?
Absolutely, it does. And it seems as if, in a weird way, all the consternation over immunized, vaccinated, vaccinated, and all of that has deflected some of the angst between the Packer front office and Aaron Rodgers. And now Aaron Rodgers is like fighting the rest of the world right now, and the Packers have come to his defense. Meanwhile, the Packers are playing really good football. I think they're playing better at this point now than they were going into last year when they were also the number 1 seed. Rodgers appears to be healthy. He's got a really good running game. He's got a better defense behind him. He's got more weapons around him. He seems like a much happier guy in Green Bay. I truly believe if he's playing football next year, he's playing it in green and gold.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that guess that he is back on the Packers. And you're right. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective about the non-vaccination and the game that he missed and maybe how that has changed some of the conversation surrounding him, because it almost seems like now they are more closely aligned than they were in April, let alone before the season started. So if I were to bet right now, I would bet that he is a Packer again.
Remember former Husker receiver Keyshawn Johnson Jr.? Well, his dad, Keyshawn Johnson, was on one of the ESPN Chit Chat shows this morning, and he said that the Steelers might make the AFC title game. What the hell?
Chance's reading of that question is kind of my reaction to it as well. No, they're going to get bludgeoned this weekend. They're going to lose by multiple scores this weekend. What in the world? They're going to make the Super Bowl or make the AFC title game in what universe? So they're going to beat them. I mean, I guess they would probably match up better with Tennessee. They beat Tennessee in the regular season. But no, absolutely not. What is everything okay with Keyshawn? What's going on with this prediction?
So if I'm correct, their path would be they'd have to beat Kansas City, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get Tennessee next.
Yep. And then they'd have the Buffalo, right, New England.
Right. This is just getting to the AFC title game, so they'd have to win those two.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't have a lot of faith that Philadelphia is going to get anywhere, but I probably have less faith in Pittsburgh getting that far than any other team in the playoffs, mainly because of who they're playing in the first round and where they're playing that game.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it. We all like the feel-good story, Big Ben going
Ben's not
out.
a feel-good story. That guy sucks.
Well,
he's a bad person.
Listen, all of that has changed. Okay, sorry, but remember, you can't call NFL quarterbacks bad people, or else you're going to get ostracized like the dude from Chicago last week. But everyone's jumping on this feel-good story of Ben Roethlisberger. It ends this weekend. I promise you, it ends this weekend, and it won't be pretty.
Yesterday at his pre-national championship press conference, Nick Saban said this about NIL, quote, "We need some kind of national legislation to control that. There will be an imbalance as to who dominates college football if it isn't regulated." Is this a rich irony considering his program is ruling the world, or does Grumpy Nick have a point?
It is very rich and very ironic, but Nick Saban has warned us about things in the past, and then what did he do?
Yeah.
He went out and he took that which was changing about the sport, and he spun it into his advantage. So he's basically giving us a warning for everybody. Hey, be careful. I'm going to take this and I'm going to continue to make it part of my advantage. I'm going to make us stronger because of all of this. But again, the problem isn't so much that NIL isn't regulated. It's about who's regulating it. And in this case, who's not regulating it. I don't think the NCAA is interested in regulating NIL right now. I don't know if they have the enforcement to regulate NIL right now. They've kind of thrown up their hands and said, we're just going to give it to you. Just run with it. There's nothing to do here. So it's not so much about making the rules. It's about having someone there to enforce the rules. And I don't know if the NCAA is interested or has the manpower to do it.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, this is more of a warning than it is anything else. Like a shot across the bow, because he's going to take advantage of it. If there are loopholes, if there are advantages that Alabama can have, he will definitely take advantage of them. That said, as we've talked about a million times, I don't know what the next step is in terms of regulation. I hate the idea of being like, well, players can only make X amount of money. This isn't a salary cap, man. These are endorsements. You know, Aaron Rodgers can make as much as he wants in endorsements. Mahomes can make as much as he wants in endorsements. That is, I mean, it's anti-American if you were going to say, hey, you can't make as, you know, whatever you want away from the field. And so that's what's going to make this situation, you know, pretty difficult moving forward.
Grade this block by Memphis's Ja Morant.
Here it is. If you're watching along on the video stream.
Look at him go up and just two hands.
Oh, wow.
He hits his elbow on the backboard. That's what freed the ball. That guy is unbelievable.
He just goes up and essentially just grabs the ball with both hands in mid-flight. It's not your typical block where he's just coming in with the big palm and swatting it out of bounds. He just literally goes up, grabs the ball. He is so high. He is so high at mid-jump that his elbow, his lead elbow,
hits
hits
the backboard.
bottom of the backboard. Thankfully, you know, it didn't hit it hard enough to injure, but that's and we talk about how slow motion and all these, you know, different camera angles, you know, make everything graceful. If there was ever anything that deserved to be put to NFL Films music, it was this, because it was so graceful. How he goes up and grabs the ball. It almost looks like he's flying.
To answer, I'll go with an A+. Very, very little or very few things can happen during an NFL Sunday that take me away from watching NFL Sunday, and yet I couldn't stop watching this highlight last night. The feat of athleticism. I still can't get over him hitting his elbows, hitting the bottom of the backboard. Just ridiculous.
Novak Djokovic is going to play in the Australian Open after all. A judge overturned his visa cancellation, even though Djokovic is unvaccinated. But Australian medical authorities say you can get a temporary exemption if you've been infected with COVID within the last 6 months, which the tennis star was. But Australian government officials aren't done fighting, saying they could exercise a, quote, personal power of cancellation. Is Djokovic being wrongly persecuted here?
That's funny. Cancel culture. If this is their governmental rule, you know, about people coming into the country, you know, they have that decision to make. So I think any athlete would get this treatment. So I don't think it's about him. I think it's about the decision that he makes. So I would say no.
But they're breaking their own rules. The rules actually say you can get an exemption if you can prove you've been infected within the last 6 months. And Djokovic, I believe, came off of COVID a month or two ago. So he definitely falls within the last 6 months. This is certainly, believe me, politicians are going to do anything they can to, you know, show that they care. It is odd that they're not following their own guidelines here. If that indeed is their guideline, that, well, by the way, you can get this exemption if you have proven to be infected with COVID-19. Either way, he's going to play for now, but this drama, which, by the way, I believe the Australian Open doesn't open for another 8 or 9 days, is not over yet.
What does a classic football stadium look like with a racetrack built inside it? Like the LA Coliseum does right now. John, is there enough room to race 20 cars at a time inside this bull ring?
If you were watching the Rams game yesterday, A, I apologize for them not playing well in the second half, and B, they did do a flyover because they are in Los Angeles, but this is what the Coliseum looks like right now. They paved over the whole thing. The grass is gone, folks. That looks like a very small racetrack. My son last night commented, can they even fit enough cars to have a race on there?
That's what my girlfriend and I were saying. Like, I thought, okay, maybe I missed the conversation and it's only going to be like 2 cars. It's going to be like an actual race?
Is that Joe's karting?
It looks about the same size as Joe's Karting Center. No, it's one of their all-star races. It's not a points-paying race. I don't know the full field, but I'm guessing there'll be about 20 cars in the race at one time.
How many accidents are there going to be in this thing?
Well, it is gonna feel like bumper to bumper on the interstate.
Incredible,
and it's rather fascinating. I look forward to it. The thing I can't get over is how much money they spend to do this for a one-off deal, and then they're just gonna blast the whole thing. I mean, they paved the whole thing over. That's pavement now. That's not dirt. That's pavement. But the money that they spent to do this. for a one-time deal. And that is unsportsmanlike content. Coming up next, it's the bet of the day on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
When it comes to the exterior of your home, you can count on Carp's Complete Home Exteriors. From siding to roofing to gutters, area homeowners trust Carp's to do the job right. Local, experienced, professional, trusted. CarpsOmaha.com.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. The WAVE technology at Brookside Medical was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces immediate results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 402-671-7777.
You've got a hungry mob? Well, I've got an offer you can't refuse. Get a large one-topping pizza for only $14 when you buy 2. That's right, all the favorites. Beef, sausage, ham, or pepperoni. Just 2 for $28. You like veggies? You can do that too. Mushrooms, onions, green peppers, pick your favorite. Just 2 for $28. But I'm only offering it for a limited time. So what are you waiting for? Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
It's what you need, 1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Can I get in on this?
The 1620 The Zone.
Of the day. Just a little bit under where some folks would like to see this one wind up. Brought to you by nobody. We've got every penny. Really, we don't have a sponsor. Sorry.
John, you lost again.
Shocking.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what I had.
You had the Chargers minus 2.5 plus the over. So the over hit. So you are 0-5 in this new year on Bet of the Day. Nick is a jerk.
I quit Bet of the Day.
You're not allowed to. Nick won. I did not win because Cooper Kupp is garbage. Chance gets.
Whoa. Stop right there.
Hey, he didn't have 135 yards.
The people's MVP. That kid made 2 amazing catches. Should have won us the game.
The bet of the day wasn't Cooper Kupp makes 2 amazing catches. It was 135 yards.
That's not my fault. That's your fault.
It probably is. I'm going to do a same game parlay on FanDuel for tonight's game. Give me the over 52.5. Give me Georgia on the money line and a Brock Bowers anytime touchdown. It pays plus 319.
I'm going to follow a very simple strategy. Keep it simple, stupid. The wrong team is favored. Alabama on the money line plus 120. Roll Tide.
Chance?
Calvin Johnson still has the record, by the way. Just wanted to throw that out there.
He does. And credit to Megatron. He great.
All hail. Anyway, I would like what my heart wants, and the heart would like to not have Alabama keep winning. So I'm going to go with Georgia minus 3. That is minus 145.
Minus one. What was it? Minus one.
Get it 2.5 on the FanDuel Sports.
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
You want a minus 2.5 chance?
Yes,
please.
Take the minus 2.5.
All right,
Get that extra
120.
point.
All right. That's the bet of the day.
Brought to you by Iowa. Because that's where gambling is legal.
Indeed it is.
Coming up tomorrow, the Jays are back on the floor against Providence. We'll have a preview of that. We'll have a recap of tonight's national championship game. More on Nebraska and the coaching changes. We didn't even talk much about Bill Bush. But like I said, it was like an inevitability. We knew it was happening. We knew it was coming.
Yeah, I do want to talk about like what this means because I really like genuinely like the hire. I think it's a really good hire. I just, as we've talked about a million times with special teams, it's going to be about allocation of practice time. Allocation of practice time.
Is Scott Frost winning Josh over? He's got the quarterback you like. He's got the special teams coach you like. They got an offensive coordinator who's going to throw it all over the yard.
Yeah, but they still don't have a running back, and the offensive line is.
Well, if you're throwing it all over the yard, who needs a running back?
The defense is going to take a step back, and Scott Frost is still the head coach. We'll see. We'll see. It's a long offseason, friends.
I don't know.
Spring ball starts next month?
Cool.
Cool indeed. Spring ball is almost here, John.
Great. I just realized I didn't even mention the Righteous Gemstones was back last night.
Haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
I have not either.
Okay,
like
good.
I said, I was so bummed out last night. I didn't feel like watching anything on TV.
You were like, I'm going to go read about Nebraska basketball. Good idea.
Yeah, I did do that.
Don't do that again tonight.
Not great. By the way, anything you missed, you can catch on a radio replay page at 1620thezone.com, or you can watch back whatever you enjoyed.
Yeah, just fast forward and stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, you can do that. It's on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button on the 1620 The Zone page on YouTube.
We're at over 800 subscribers now.
Well, that's
Can we
great.
do 1,000 by the end of the month?
Let's do it. Let's get over 1,000.
Perfect.
All right, enjoy the national championship. Jack Mitchell, the national championship is on in 90
It's an hour
minutes.
away, Jack. Don't forget about it.
90 minutes to kickoff. Don't forget. And we will see you tomorrow. Thank you, Chance.
Thanks,
See you tomorrow
Chance.
as well. Good night.
Bye.